Episode 301.
301.
Episode 301. So, one, for people that may be following or subscribing to this shit show, episode 300
was a shit show.
Mediocrity snatched from the mouth of greatness.
It was.
We could have been so great. In our brains, we were so great.
We had so many plans.
We had so many plans.
So many plans.
We did. We had so many plans, and instead we ended up having a fucking Zoom call.
Right.
Fuck, man.
That turned into a TED Talk.
It did turn into a TED Talk.
I waited on bated breath for it.
If you were one of those people that has said, boy, I paid my Patreon $10 party member thing, and they never answered my questions. If you go back and listen to episode 300, you'll see that we sometimes can mistreat that privilege.
Yes.
Right.
Who was our Patreon that we were actually talking to?
Oh,
again?
crap. I'll have to pull it up. I'm bad with the names, but
Is it Dan who sends us the
from Iowa. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Oh, Mac, pull that down a little bit and angle it flat. It'll do you guys better.
Do I have to speak into the penis here? Or?
No, now you're good.
Just
now
a
you're
little.
good. Now you're good.
So yeah, that was our problem. If you bust our balls and tell us that we're not answering your questions, eventually we will, in the most painful way possible.
Right, and that being said, if you're planning on rehabbing a small frame Vespa or a P-Series Vespa,
go to 300.
300 will give you every bit of information you've ever needed, and most people have no idea. You guys laid the smackdown. Between you two, that was like 70 years of scooter knowledge dropped in an hour.
Well, yeah.
Well, you commented that we were like in the top 10, not even close probably. There's people out there that could probably take it way further.
But you're hanging. You guys were hanging right there, though, because I learned a lot. I was like, holy shit, man. That was good.
Yeah. So that was it. Sleepy did a great job of adding animation, adding historical video from AMA vintage days to make it feel like we were having fun.
But you unintentionally also added an amazing elf to the whole video.
So you guys know my laptop is so full of shit, mostly old podcasts. And it was so full of shit, my laptop, that it didn't want to run the Zoom call with like my background or anything else. So I had to drop back and punt and use Merritt's Mac from work. But I've never played with a Mac for a Zoom call before, so I'm pressing buttons like a freaking chimp, you know? And I'm just like, and I accidentally gave myself eyebrows. So I put like a Snapchat eyebrow filter into my Zoom call, but I couldn't see it because I have eyebrows. And so I didn't really notice it on the little tiny normal screen.
Right.
But then when we watched it today on the big screen at the shop, I've got these like hilarious, like Ernest Borgnine giant caterpillars on my eyes.
But the best part
They're
for
animated.
The best part for me is I was having some pain.
Yeah.
So I used my medical prescription from the
were-
state of Ohio to imbibe some medical marijuana.
Right.
And I was completely convinced that I was the only one seeing your eyebrows fucking going like this, like crazy. But no, they were actually...
Got a little of that eyebrow weed. And the funny thing was when my voice would go up, the eyebrows would go up.
Oh, yeah.
It was really... And the
And
more
then
you
at
watch
one
it,
point, when you got real... You were saying the most in-depth information about a scooter.
Right.
And your eyebrows were like...
The more technical the topic, the more eyebrow
intensity
movement there was.
oh, fuck, man. And it was like they were playing Pong. It was the dumbest thing. To my left.
I missed the whole thing because I was asleep.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so true. To my left,
Dan Kromke.
Dan, do you have a four-wheeled vehicle yet?
I do not.
Now, despite us being outside again, which for the podcast listeners means it is not freezing in Cleveland anymore.
What was it yesterday? Like 40? Or
It's just, right. Yeah. But all of a sudden, we're in what we call an Indian summer, right?
Yep.
And so we're getting this now. It's fantastic. I've been riding bikes every day. But everybody sitting at this table knows that right now, it's it. We're on borrowed time.
Yeah.
At any minute now, 17 inches of snow. Just
easy.
Just right out of tomorrow. And you still have a four-wheeled vehicle.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it. We don't go anywhere enough that it's going to be an issue, even if I don't get one till spring. But I'll probably start.
That's true. It's true.
I'm waiting for the right incentives to come along on the trucks.
So now, the election and everything else happening, we're not going to get into that, but things are going to change. Like, stuff's going to happen right now. And you're right. It tends to be when these things happen, there's some discounting going on.
So I got you guys all a 300th episode gift, which I didn't get to pass out last time. Take one of those and pass it on.
Take one. It's heavy, Dan.
Oh, yeah.
It's very heavy. This has got some atmosphere to it. Go ahead. And this is, okay, so this is an adapter to go from a quarter drive to a 3/8 drive.
So I was kind of forced to buy these.
Yeah.
I needed these like a couple days ago, dude.
Because I got you guys
Exactly
these.
this one.
I thought these were 3/8 drives when I ordered them, and these were on clearance for like $2.99.
Oh, nice T-handle ratchet, baby.
Oh,
So a quarter drive T-handle ratchet.
Oh, damn, dude.
Nice.
All right.
And it's in Pro too.
Thank you,
this is-
Dan.
This is legit for reals. Nice.
Oh my God!
dude.
Wait, I'm missing one.
Wait.
dude. I'm making
Hold on,
one.
make sure you get one. Absolutely. Absolutely. Nice. We're good over here. Yeah, keep them going.
Oh, this is good. Yeah.
Right. Oh, that's brilliant.
Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, damn, that is so fucking
Good
cool.
crap.
Well, you know what? A good set of T-handle wrenches.
Trust me,
Yeah,
I live the life, dude. I live
dude.
that life.
Thank you so much, Dan.
If it wasn't for COVID,
I'm going to put my adapter in right now. There, look at it. That's the sound of
That's
success.
the sound of success.
Put my feet after him.
I seriously thought they were 3/8 drives when I ordered them.
I think it's funny. He bought us the gift, and then he realized he didn't buy the thing he thought he bought us.
Yeah.
And then he bought us the adapter to make it into.
Right.
That is
Never had a ratchet that was so tight.
It's toy, like a toy.
That adapter is the cheapest impact adapter on the planet. It should be good for at least one impact.
One impact. Right.
One Dugga?
Or the 32 or the 32 nanometers of torque that you can put on with this particular T-handle.
It makes a nice kind of little knuckle.
It is a scary little knuckle duster, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that's badass. Wow. I'm putting mine down here. Don't let anybody steal it, fuckers. I'm watching you.
Knuckle duster?
Dan, thank you so much for 300.
Yeah,
episode
thank you,
gifts.
sir.
Our Patreons bought us 300 episode gifts too, but there's some fitting required.
Oh.
So we're gonna have that later on after we're done recording. We have some. It's a two-step process, as they say.
I take a Magnum XL if that's
Right,
what
that's
you're
right.
asking.
I figured. I just ordered
here,
yours in
same here.
Irish. That's it. That's it. Yeah. And thank you, Dan.
Yeah,
to his
Dan.
left,
Cheers, Dan.
Oscar.
and Oscar's not in Wisconsin.
No, for today.
2 weeks in a row for the moment.
For the moment.
At any moment, booty call, and Oscar disappears like the Flash.
You're
Just exit stage erection.
It's a glimmering hope. It's a glimmering hope in 2020 that Oscar has returned.
I'm
It is.
still here.
It's exactly
Yeah,
it.
booted me out.
Yeah. Oscar's going to be here for all the 300s.
Yes.
Oh, and he'll be representing all the Mexican Toltec, Aztec people.
Pretty much. And
That's right.
there's some ponchos over there, my peoples over there that I saw.
Fantastic. Anything to report, Oscar?
Nothing new. I actually want to start riding again. Like Dan was saying, the last couple of days are barely going to be able to.
If you can't get a bike out over the next couple of
This is
days,
the time to do
it's
it.
going to drive you bonkers.
Yeah.
Call one of us. Somebody can lend you a bike if you need one.
Yeah.
Just show up.
I have
We
a whole
all
garage
bikes,
full of Oscar. You could use.
Nice.
And some, like
I've got
most of the
6
license plates I
scooters in
run
my
around on.
truck that if you can unbury, they're all yours. You just got to take the stuff out of the truck and put it in
And
the
then put
apartment.
it
Dig your way to greatness. Dig your way to greatness. I assure you. And then to his left,
Johnny Mac.
and John brought wood. John brought wood.
Got wood.
John brought lumber for our Bell Ray burn barrel.
Oh, yeah.
Only the finest 10W40 motorcycle grade. Keep warm tonight.
I grabbed some big old burley wood that was didn't really work good in my fireplace, but works great in a hobo barrel.
Yeah, and this is exactly it. Anybody who comes to complain about our hobo barrel will be like, no, you're not cooking. You're disposing of bad wood.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's recycling or decycling. Very funny.
Well, you upcycled the thing too. So.
I did. I upcycled. I got the carrier too, the wheel thing. I got that from the Lakewood dump. So
If we get a really good fire, I think those little rubber casters might be a casualty.
yeah,
We might
that's why I left a couple inches of rainwater in the bottom of the burner. You know,
liquid cooled.
I'm thinking. I got liquid cooled burn barrel. Fuck you.
Really?
I put sand in the bottom of my all my stuff. I put like 4 inches of sand.
Sure.
And that way it stops the bottom from burning out.
For our podcast listeners, Steve held up his fingers like this and said 4 inches of sand.
Yeah.
Is that 4 inches?
Yeah. 4.5 inches.
I don't know.
4
I thought
inches of
that's 4.5 inches. Is that 4 inches?
That's shorter than my
Close enough.
shot.
You're an engineer. That should be your strong suit, man.
Give me a ruler. Give me a ruler.
I want
That's
4
gotta
knuckles.
be.
I'll give you
That's not long enough, Wayne.
6.
No, we just have to double it.
I'm going to show them what 2.5 inches looks like.
If you double it, it's pretty much there.
And of course, to John's left, very special guest tonight.
Hi, everybody. I'm Wayne. Just moved back to Cleveland from California.
Nice.
The
Wayne
great
has
state.
been frequently described as the younger, funnier Robertson.
Yeah, the handsome or happy James.
Happy James?
Yes. If anybody comes into the shop.
You know, James was on episode number 1 through like the first 14 episodes when we were in Dustin's basement. And it's very funny that it was like, so we have the corner on the Robertson family, right? Our whole shop, there's a gravity around our shop and the Robertson circle in it. Mm-hmm. It's very cool because they're very handy people to have around.
So, Wayne, do you like to spend lots of money?
Especially if you need a handy.
Do you like to spend tons of money on heavy things to pick up?
No, that's my less happy, much more enthusiastic younger brother.
Yeah. Your brother has
James
amassed a
I
collection.
feel like James is like the grumpy cat, and you're like the Cheshire cat.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. That is-
I'm usually always smiling, but you know,
Yeah.
I've got my grumpy moments.
Yeah.
It's like that episode in Star Trek where Captain Kirk gets split into 2 people.
Oh, really? And there's a happy Kirk and a not so happy Kirk?
Yeah, the one that's like he only wants to screw and kill people.
Does Angry Kirk have a
That's the
goatee?
same one?
Because he should have a goatee.
No, that's Mr. Spock.
Okay.
That's in a different episode.
Yeah, but that's totally me. I don't understand. James is the not happy one, and I do that.
There goes a Trump truck. Oh, you have to roll that back and look. It's at 13 minutes. Yeah.
Down by St. Ignatius today, they had the Trump train bus.
Really?
A giant bus. It
Yeah.
had Trump Pence painted all over it.
Okay.
And they were following around the Biden Harris caravan, which was kind of funny. I was like, guys, you know, the election happened a couple days ago.
You can't change anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this has happened.
That's right.
We're already where we're going to be.
Let it go.
Advertising is done. Have a nice day.
At this point, marketing is pretty much over.
Yeah.
You know, the only people that ever win on these elections,
I heard votes are still being cast in Pennsylvania, though.
Well,
sure,
at least being counted for sure.
but the only people that win in this are the TV stations and advertising people that take the ad revenue for everything, and that's the only people that
Look,
win.
Media.
If candidate A spends $1.7 billion,
Right.
If candidate B spends $1,800 million, right, to use the correct terms,
Right.
then that's $4,000 million,
Right.
that all went somewhere.
To not us.
Well, exactly.
Right.
You got to get on that. You got to figure that where that teat is and get on it.
Yeah.
He said the people who set up the ads for them make 15 to 20%, so that if they spend like X amount on like TV advertising,
Sure,
they get 20% of that, or
Right.
15 to 20% of that.
Okay.
But then that money gets kicked back into the parties.
Oh, man.
So
who knows?
They basically are just recycling their money.
Yeah.
And I heard a figure of like $290 million spent on like advertising or
It's
something.
something
Doesn't
ridiculous.
surprise me
It's
one
ridiculous.
bit. But you guys, you got to vote for those third parties, because if they get 5% of the vote, they get that sweet, sweet PAC money, $10 million.
Right.
That'll buy you 3 seconds of advertising during a campaign season.
Hell yeah.
Did you see our fourth party ad? No? Well, we'll show it to you on YouTube.
So
Because
wait
we
a
can't
minute.
afford.
So if Cleveland Moto decides that you're going to run for an office,
Yes.
and we can put this together,
We'd have
can
to
we somehow split that $10 million after we don't spend it on any advertising?
We're going to spend it on an inflatable hockey rink over the shop, so it can be summer year round here. Yeah, that's it.
I like how a certain unnamed multi-billionaire spent $500 million on 3 different states, and they all went the other way.
I know.
And you spent $500 million, and it didn't.
Where's the gray line? Because you're.
I'm trying. I'm
Put it in the
practically.
middle. Put it in the middle.
I can't.
Thank you.
I'm going to need your help when getting this all the way in.
The party. And to Wayne's media. Oh, and we should call attention to the fact that tonight marks Wayne's triumphant return to Cleveland.
Right.
After being a Californian for how long were you there?
I was in California for 4 years.
4 years, right?
Yeah, making wine and doing the thing.
Yeah.
So,
And you returned just
99% tax rate.
The tax rate didn't bother me. It was the fires. Everything burnt down constantly.
I'll pay your money, just don't burn my shit.
Yeah, every time, I would start getting ahead, you'd start getting a little bit going. You're like, oh, great. And then that thing burnt down.
So this was your own winery, like your own thing, or were you?
I never owned a winery, but I did make wine.
Okay.
And the facility that I was making wine in burnt down this year.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
I heard a number of 100 cases of wine are somewhere in the world that might make their way here.
I do have wine as soon as I unpack it for future podcasts.
Yeah, so podcast listeners are going to miss on this, but I'm going to be over at Wayne's new place in Ohio City tomorrow morning at about 11 o'clock or so, helping him unload his bodacious U-Haul truck. And so he's assured me there's no stairs.
What I did was I hired 18-year-olds to actually move everything. And the adults are just going to supervise the 18-year-olds.
We're just going to stand there and tell them which way to point a couch.
You're like, you want this fucking wine? Put that couch up.
Rotate the couch a little more.
I used to be young and stupid, and now my body doesn't work like it used to.
I'm with you.
Now I just hire young and stupid people to do all the heavy lifting.
Exactly how it should work. And to his left is
Steve Hoffert.
And Steve, have you officially bought that other house now?
Yes.
It finally came through that you now own a property and the property next door.
That's right.
In New Russia?
Yep.
And that's where
Apparently, 2 containers have already, 40-foot shipping containers have already landed there.
No, they're coming tomorrow. I bought 2 40-foot.
You bought 2 40-foot empty shipping containers?
Right.
Oh, shit. Jeez. Damn.
My friend, you are not fucking around.
No, I'm not. My plan is, and actually, my other house.
80-foot shooting range.
The lady works for a shipping company, and she supposedly can get me shipping containers cheap.
Yeah.
So I've decided I'm going to build a huge shipping container building.
Yeah, why not?
It's so much cheaper.
Yeah.
I mean,
Just
seriously.
make sure you Instagram it, and then because that's where all the shipping
That
container
is clearly,
houses are.
yes. Tiny homes or shippingcontainershouses.com.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because that's a big trend
You'll
right
get
now.
like 1 million followers, and like a bunch of hot chicks will be like,
Right.
"Oh my god, I love it."
We're building our shipping container home. Our budget is $7 million.
Well,
I'm a
there's
hairdresser and my husband walks dogs.
with the whole COVID thing, there's a lot of places that, like even with the city where I work, they can't put all the people in the same building that they put them because there's not 6 feet, there's not everything.
Right.
So like taking shipping containers and building them out into an office space where 2 people can live in there,
Perfect.
and then parking them outside somewhere could probably be a decent business. I don't know.
People got a store.
Down where all the grows are in California, they're all shipping container buildings.
That makes perfect sense.
When I talk about grows, mostly it's the marijuana.
Yeah, the marijuana.
It's the number one thing growing in California right now.
Yep.
Soon it'll be cocaine
As it should be.
in Oregon.
Well,
What's
that's
our
what-
favorite quote?
More avocados.
There was a drug war.
Yeah.
And the drugs won.
That's what. So I was, you know how like Grand Theft Auto updates all the time, whatever. So I was playing the game the other night, and they have. But I was playing the game the other night, and they update all the ads all the time. So they had a political campaign for medical cocaine, and it was like this candidate is against medical cocaine, and we all know how awesome medical cocaine is. So we're ready to go forward with it.
Oregon said yes to concealed carry on heroin and mushrooms.
Right.
So you can have concealed carry on heroin and mushrooms.
As you should.
And-
All
and
hard
you know what?
drugs, everything. Everything's legal.
My point with this has always been, look,
Criminalized.
Hunter S. Thompson, you do whatever the fuck you want, but handle your high. Until you become a problem, you're not a problem.
Right.
You know? And I do agree with that.
My wife doesn't because she thinks I'm a problem all the time.
Don't ever stop with the drugs.
No.
Because then it'll just be you.
I know.
Right now it's the drugs.
Yeah,
You can't afford to lose that kind of traction.
No.
So if I'm just laying out in my front yard naked, just kind of like getting one with the grass and
Yeah.
everything, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm
Amen,
my
brother.
property. I'm doing my thing.
Yeah.
Leave me the fuck alone.
I don't see why not.
That's why I have the poncho.
You mean the drug rug? You're good.
You're a drug rug, man.
Be the grass.
You know what? That drug rug, that poncho can only get across the Mexican border once.
It's all it needed.
Yep, it'll never get back into Mexico because anybody ever seen wearing that is going to be like, sorry, sir, secondary inspection. We need a secondary inspection over here. Dave, can you get a box of gloves?
Get the 3 mil. We're going deep.
And I'd be like, hey, that's all right. I've got my own.
Customer supplies.
Congratulations on your new house, Steve.
Well, thank you.
Very much.
The house is. You shouldn't congratulate me on that house because I'm getting it torn down.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to burn it down.
I'm trying to get the fire department to burn it down.
Well, no. Now you can ask them to come and burn it down.
Or we can
That's
just do
what I'm
it.
asking.
Or they can show up of their own free will because that's their job.
Yeah.
You have to give it a little help. You know? The hailing,
Podcast 325.
One of them requires a phone call. The other one just requires a gallon of gas.
I was working on the plumbing, and I was
brazing
sweating some pipes with a
some pipes.
blowtorch,
Yep, that's
and
right.
it got out of control.
Sweating the house with some gasoline.
I was
fell into the
stripping
gas.
all the floors at the same time.
See, I look at it like, can you get in trouble for burning it down if you don't claim it for insurance?
No.
Again.
Why? I mean,
Absolutely, yes.
it's your own private property.
I feel like they'll come.
Can we get somebody to
they'll
call
pull
in
some
and define
EPA
arson?
angle where you're not allowed to like just cook off something like that
Yeah,
because
right,
there's
yeah.
too many pollutants or something.
Well, or maybe it's arson becomes your son. Like arson can very quickly turn into their son and their son and their son. But when it's arson, it should be okay.
Yeah.
Now, what if you invite me over to look at your house and you're like, be careful, I just spilled 10 gallons of gas.
Yeah, good
And I'm
one.
like, you know what? My cigarette. What? And I throw the cigarette.
Yeah.
That's a complete accident, right?
I was on a jury, okay?
Yeah.
And it was, the whole thing was about
This is going to be good because the segue was literally arson to I was in a jury.
No, but it's
Don't let us
kind
down.
of like the same thing.
Yeah.
This kid had a truck and I don't know, put it in they claim that he put it in a lot, said it was stolen and it was burnt down. And like he burnt the truck down to nothing because he didn't want to pay for it anymore, I guess. I mean, I have no idea. But the guy said that the kid said that it was stolen and somebody burned it in a parking lot. So they didn't get him on burning the truck. They were trying to get him on insurance fraud for burning the truck and trying to claim that he was getting money for the truck, although they couldn't really prove that he left it in the parking lot. There was like no camera footage or anything of him leaving it in this parking lot, but they were getting him on insurance fraud, not burning it.
Yeah, it's just for claiming.
Right. I think the question is it illegal to burn your own house down?
If you're not claiming it on
Right.
insurance.
Again, it's your dick. How you beat it's up to you.
I mean, that's the way I figure it. I mean, if I want to burn my own house down,
How you want to get
have
weird's
at
up to
it.
you.
I mean, it's my burn barrel.
Right.
I mean, if you can, I feel like mutually assured distance, you're not going to burn somebody else's house
Yeah.
down to burn.
The only thing that's close enough to burn
It's your
is
house.
my other house.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Which isn't insured either.
Oh shit.
Nothing's insured. I was
That one
burning
going up was an accident.
I was burning the bad one. The good one went up by accident. That's
even
not
worse
insurance
one.
claim.
The
This
even
one
worse
is.
one would.
Yeah.
I was
Okay.
burning
You
the
know what
even
is
worse
completely
one.
legal though is if you were to get the permit to knock that house down,
Right.
And
Yeah.
you bought a earth mover or any kind of caterpillar or anything like that, you could rent them by the day for a couple $100. Knock the pig down,
Right.
push it off 50 feet to the left or to the right,
burn it.
And then burn it.
and then burn it.
Right.
Is there-
And now you just have a bonfire.
Right. That's all it is. You're cooking one
you
hot
said
dog
you
over it.
said get a permit to tear it down. Is there a permit to burn a house down?
Probably not.
No, but there's a
I'm sure the
permit
fire
to demo
department
it.
knows.
There's a demo permit.
You
but
can
there's
get
no-
a demo permit, but you
You know
can't
how you're
get
going to
anything
find out
burn it.
if you do it without one? They'll let you know. That's what I've learned.
I say you just buy like 8 sledgehammers and call all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you saying this is a situation where it's better to just do it and don't ask, as opposed to ask and be told no?
The
and
next
then do
time
it
there's a
anyway?
really big storm, a couple of guys show up with bobcats. Next thing you know, the house blew down.
Maybe I should take like some copper pipe, and like 50 feet of copper pipe, and just stick it straight in the air
Right, exactly.
I feel like we could
into a and like bond it into a 10 5-gallon gas can.
If you put 50 foot of copper pipe,
That's the literal definition of arson.
if you put 50, that's actually the
Try too hard to burn your house down.
and if you put 50 foot of copper pipe just sticking straight up in the air in this neighborhood, it'll get stolen. They'll break into your house to steal your copper
And they
pipe.
won't burn the house
won't burn
down,
the
so
house
you
down.
fail all the way around.
That's exactly.
Or you could start a YouTube channel and have people invite people to come try to drive a car through it.
Yeah, that's true.
Like,
that's
I bet
another
you
one.
can't burn this house
I
down.
bet you can't drive
Send
your car.
send it through a house.com. Yeah, that's it. And to his left,
Nick Devitto.
Nick, I noticed that today you've added something to your Suzuki Bandit 400.
Yes, I did. It was a gift from Sleepy Cinch.
I fucking love it. So what he added to the front of his Bandit 400 is what I will describe as, we all know what an MGO Viper fairing is, or the Mad Max fairing.
Right.
This is like the Baby Max fairing. It is a baby MGO Viper, and it's beautiful.
Really just big enough to surround the headlight and the gauges. And
It is
that's
just
it.
a foreskin.
Yep.
It is literally just a headlight foreskin. That's all it is. It's adorable, and I love it.
You know, I was actually thinking, what would actually look really cool is if you halved it and just used the top half and rounded the corners.
I like
so that
it
you
just
could
the way it
really
is.
put it on the thing. But whatever.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think you're right.
I think it
But,
looks beautiful the way
Yeah,
it is.
it's
fantastic.
absolutely gorgeous way.
But the funny part is I originally bought it for one of my GS 850s.
Okay.
And it said that it would fit it.
No, it won't.
No,
No.
It fits around a 7-inch headlight,
It
but
won't fit
that's
around
pretty
it.
much it.
No,
Like
no. That is like one of those wish.com, I'm going to order a cock ring disasters. And you get like a finger cot or some nonsense. And you're like, what the fuck is this? And then the box comes with 2,000 more of them.
Horrible website. What was it?
Oh, wish.com. That's it.
But can I say, if you look at anything on Wish, you get the best Facebook ads.
Yes, you do.
They're like, they don't call it what it is though. It'll be like an enema stick with like a weird like stick on the end of it, and it's like cleaning device.
Right.
And you're like, right.
It's not a cleaning device.
No.
Yeah.
Or the silencers. They have gun silencers, but they're called
filters.
Oil
Oil
filters.
filters.
Yeah.
They're called oil filters. Yeah, that's exactly it.
Fuel filters.
Yeah.
I gotta say the best part about that fairing is that it is installed on the Bandit. You guys would agree, right?
Yeah.
Is
Oh,
installed
totally.
on the Bandit.
Yeah.
There is not a single bolt holding it to the Bandit.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it just
Ties only?
friction fit?
It's sort of wedged on there.
Nice.
Yep.
That's cool. Just don't go backwards.
It was
Right.
snap on.
It survived 80 miles an hour on the highway.
Yeah,
on the way
right
up
on,
here.
man. That's
Until
very
it hits you in
cool.
the head.
Yeah.
A pigeon hit me once. A pigeon hit me, jumped up off the road. I'm serious. It sheared off my windshield.
A pigeon?
My R60.
Yeah.
A pigeon sheared off my windshield, hit me right in the head. I'm surprised I didn't go down. It
Right.
hit the car behind me.
Oh my God. Wow. Yeah.
And all I could think about is that guy's going to sue the shit out of me.
We were riding.
Getting hit by a part of my bike.
That's what kept you conscious.
Yeah.
We were riding one day somewhere, and Emmy was at full tuck on one of the small, like CB1, one of the small bikes. She was riding. She was at full tuck, and she'd come up out of full tuck, and like the second she came up out of full tuck, a bat hit her in the chest.
Whoa.
Like just fucking out of nowhere. Just like the bat was like, I'm gonna swoop down on this bitch, and like all of a sudden she sat up, and the bat was like, no time to abort. And so she pulled off the road real quick, and I was like, what the fuck was that? And she goes, it was a bat. And I was like, no, it wasn't a bat. And she's like, Phil, it was a fucking bat. If I told you it was a bat, it was a fucking bat. And
Were there any feathers?
no, it's dark as fuck, right? It was dark as fuck. So I was like, well, you know what? It probably was a bat. I was like, not too
Freaking
many robins
sonar.
and bluebirds running around that
That
time. of
sonar
night.
just doesn't work right.
Well, sonar doesn't work on a CB1.
No. That's exactly it.
That's stealth.
Totally stealth technology. Yeah. That's probably what it was too. And Emmy's not Emmy's not a really big person. So like, when that bat was like, I'm going to swoop
Pretty
down
good
there and see
aim.
what's going on. Emmy just sat up, blasted her. So it was fucking terrible. And to his left,
Oh, me, Steve, sleeping.
hey Steve, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Nothing. I rode the new bike today
did?
that I traded for.
Really good.
Yep. It's a good bike.
That's no Super Tenere, my friend.
No. And I found sport mode today.
Yes.
And so I thought the bike was pretty quick to begin with, but
Yeah.
sport mode is a fucking treat.
Yeah. So that's an FZ09.
Yes.
So it's an FZ09 and
J09, right?
FJ,
F-
right?
sorry, FJ,
right,
FJ.
right, exactly. Sorry, you're an adult.
It's the road version. It's the road version of my Super
It's an FZ
Tenere.
for people with bad hips.
Yeah, exactly. It's true. It's true. It is fucking comfortable. It is fucking comfortable.
He's had a hip replacement.
I know. And I'm only 50 this year, coming year.
Do you know that the FJ09 is one of those motorcycles that you're not allowed to tell people what it is unless you follow it with a supplemental statement? So I'll give you an example. Hey Phil, what kind of bike do you ride? Oh, I got an FJ09. It's like the 09 with better ergos. You can never just say it's an FJ09. You have to follow it by, oh yeah, it's a triple.
Well, that's what. So they have in Europe, it's the Tracer.
Yep.
And then the Tracer GT.
Oh.
So the GT is Grand Touring, and that's why all the shit is on there.
Right. The Phaser's the 4-cylinder.
Right.
The Fizzer, because I had that
Right.
the FZ.
But the Tracer is the 3-cylinder
08.
900,
Yep.
and that's like the fun bike.
Yep.
And then the Tracer GT is like, oh, you're old enough to put bags and shit that other young kids don't like.
You know what the GT stands for? Grandpa's trousers. Yeah. That's what it stands for. Grandpa's trousers. That's it.
That being
comes with
said-
a really tall windshield.
Yeah. That being said,
But then there's also the MT09.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
and that's like the super racy.
That's the transforming robot one.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's all different things. So like even the forum for information is confused because it's like Phaser 900, FJ whatever, MT.
What does FJ? FC is obviously Phaser. What's FJ?
In great or MT? Spelled with a J.
Formerly juvenile.
You're gonna GIF.
Yep. Flaccid junk.
That's it.
I think it's fucking just for people born before 09.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
Yeah.
pretty much what it is. There you go.
Yep. Flaccid junk is my bet. That's what I'm going with. That's fucking great too, and it's the good color. It's the faster color. It's the red one.
Yep.
Yeah. So it
But
does go faster.
here's the thing. So like I think I might have
more horsepower.
Oh yeah.
Oh, geez. But it's the first bike I've ever owned that has real suspension. So
Now, hold on.
It has
Your Super Tenere was kind of legendary for its suspension.
right, but
Yeah.
that was the stock suspension.
Right.
So this dude that I traded.
Oh,
spent-
this is enhanced.
It's very much enhanced.
Okay, yeah.
It has AK-20 fork cartridges in the front,
Okay.
and then a Penske 8939 shock in the rear.
Those
with-
mean nothing to me. You just named a Russian automatic rifle
Right.
and a freight moving vehicle.
He's been on the forums too much. Now he's just talking.
You're talking about rental trucks and AK-47s. I do not follow you, my friend.
None of that matters, but what matters is that the shit was set up for exactly my weight
Yeah.
because he weighed the same as me, and it's fucking weird. It's
Oh,
like
yeah, to
you
have a
can
bike with
hammer
perfect suspension?
You can
Yeah.
hammer through turns, and it's like whatever coming from downtown and coming onto the highway,
Yeah.
whatever that road is thing. I've on the Super Tenere I could do 60.
Dead
around
Man's
that-
Curve.
No, the other one coming this way.
Oh, this way. Okay, yeah.
Like
Right.
whatever that, like when you're downtown and you go past it, and then you come on the highway coming this way.
Our
west side.
podcast listeners don't care.
80, whatever. It doesn't matter.
25th,
It's a 45
Coming
degree
around the
turn
mountain.
that's long.
Oh, yeah.
It's whatever, right?
It's a big open turn, yeah.
And I was able to do 60 maybe on the Super Tenere.
Right.
I did it 109
Yeah,
on the way here. It's
And that is
fucking-
true. If you've never had a motorcycle that has correctly set up suspension, go to the Race Tech's website, do podcast, or do a few YouTube channel searches. But Race Tech for me has always been like, those guys are so generous with their data.
Right.
So they've got a calculator built into their website, and you can enter all things like, your minimal obesity, you can enter your velocity, you can enter your inseam length and how you dress on the left or to
Right,
the right, and what kind of, Vespa you're riding, and it'll tell you all the places and all kinds of things to put into your bike
Right.
to make it as good as it can be.
Yeah.
And then the idea is they give you just enough rope to hang yourself that you call them and be like, can you fix this?
Yeah.
And then you show up and they charge you a couple $100 and fix your shit.
But this is the
I'm
first.
going to have a few more beers, and then I'd like to take it for a test ride.
No problem.
Remember center stand.
Yes. Yeah. Don't drop it on the car next to you.
That's my car beside it. So,
But I honestly
Put it on the
believe,
side.
and I hope that this doesn't come true, but I think this bike can kill me.
Yeah.
Like this is the one that's going to kill me.
There you go.
But it's fine. But I love
That's
it.
good to look for.
So it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Congratulations.
I want to tell you guys about a bike that I tried to kill me, that I tried to make so it'd kill me, and it won. So you guys
did kill you?
No. This is the point. I was like,
It's like, wow, you're
I
really good,
literally-
man.
I literally went to great lengths to ruin a motorcycle. Ask anyone.
I've seen many.
Yes. I took one of the world's cutting edge performance motorcycles with brilliant power, 140 torques, and 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, and all these things. And I took this thing, and based on a customer's request, which was just basically getting permission to do the thing I was going to do anyway.
Right.
But I just got to do it with his money. Yay for him. All right.
Well, this goes to your motto: add what you're going to say to everything.
Add TKC 80s to everything.
Right.
So I've been this way. I've had this fucking loose screw in my brain for about 7 years that I just see a bike and I'm like, And then I see a picture of it with TKC 80s put on through like advanced Photoshop.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, I gotta go buy that. Right. I don't care what it is. You show me a Trail 110, put TKC 80s on it, and I'm like, that's fucking sexy, you know? And I don't care if you had to spend $9,000 to make it fit.
Right.
I don't care. And the bike doesn't have enough horsepower to move them.
Right.
I don't care. TKC 80s to me are the perfect block pattern, the perfect shape. They look like Lego tires.
And for knobbies, they last at least, well, depending on your riding ability, 3,000 to 7,000 miles.
Everyone, yeah. And so I've ridden a few bikes with TKCs on them. I've owned a few bikes with TKCs on them. And I am a fucking TKC devotee who lives in an area where I can't ride in the dirt.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't have to back up my statement at all.
No.
I mean, I can make this unqualified statement. I live in a place that I'm not allowed to ride in the dirt virtually anywhere. And I got dumb fucking knobbies on a motorcycle.
But everybody looks and goes, wow.
So I took the Zero SRF in Dolphin Safe Blue, took off the world's greatest headlight, put on two dumbest, China's finest projector beams that aren't, put LED bulbs in those.
Hi, customer that paid for all this.
He's a listener. He is now. Took off perfectly good Pirelli Diablo Rosso 3.
Did you give them to the guy?
Yeah, they're sitting right there. He rode the bike home.
If not, throw them in my bag.
Oh, they're fucking brand new, dude. And so I pulled these things off and we shoehorned down these TKC 80s, which fucking fit. Go figure. Didn't have to cut the fender or nothing. Even the James Bond rear bumper license plate holder thing that is functional and made of metal.
Yeah.
So if somebody tries to nerf you, it doesn't matter. Like, you're like, fuck you, and you deploy the tacks and the oil slick. So awesome. So I did this thing, and I just looked at it, and I was like, your name is Apocalypso. One, because it's the perfect bike for the zombie apocalypse. It's silent.
Right.
You can kick it over to hide it under a tarp, and it won't flood the carbs.
Right.
It's got grip for days now. It'll pull you up a fucking mountain. Who cares? And it'll go as fast, it's speed governed at 125 miles an hour.
Right.
So then I put my, helmet on with my, fancy helmet cam and shit, and I go out and take the bike out on the real road, and with these stupid knobby tires, I'm prepared for this bike to do two things. One, start going the wrong way and throw me off and put me in a ditch or something. But everything I did, including working my way up through the power modes from like eco-friendly nerd, never ridden a bike before.
And you were very vocal about it because you were like, these tires are new. They have the tits on them still.
They had no miles on them, and it was literally 51 degrees.
Yeah.
Like, worst case scenario.
Still had the mold release on them.
Yeah, I sprayed more mold release on them to make it fair. Keep a can of that around the house. But what's funny is I just went out on this thing cold with the camera going, and sport mode. Fuck the parachute. We're not going to use the parachute. Just sport mode.
Yeah.
Just go. And what happened was I didn't die.
Nope.
And at no point, you guys watch the video. It's up on the YouTubes right now. Episode. You just type that in. It's fine. Apocalypso's not a word that comes up a lot on YouTube. And if you type in Zero Apocalypso with an S, you'll get it.
Oh, the fire's trying to kill us.
It is so ridiculous how good this bike was. So I did all these 0 to 60s, and I did all these 0 to 90s. So I know the fucking nerds sitting down here with stopwatches and shit are gonna be like, well, they said it goes from 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, but with the TKC 80s on, it only goes to 0 to 60 in 4.7 seconds. Well, you know what, bitches? It goes from 0 to 60 in still 3 seconds.
That's pretty fast.
And it goes from 0 to 90 in 6 seconds. Do you know how I know that? The nerds all told me.
And then you looked up. So we came in and I told you I watched your video.
Right.
So you looked up what else goes that fast in the world.
What else goes from 0 to 60 in 90? I'm sorry. What goes to 0 to 90 in 6 seconds?
And then before you even mention that, let's mention, before we get to what does it, the cost difference of what you were riding to what can actually do that.
Yeah. Oh, it's insane.
It's fucking...
and also on knobbies.
On knobbies.
I was going to say, the McLaren F1 is faster, but not on knobbies.
No.
Yeah, I can't read that. New Texas EV startup unveils U.S.-made electric motorcycle with the right specs and the right price. Oh, Volcon. Yeah, Volcon. So Volcon, unfortunately, though, it's not DOT. It's not.
It's off-road only.
It's a Rocon with an uses electricity.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Wow.
So super cool.
That is terrifying.
Yeah, I love everything about that. And so it was really fun. I got to shoot the video, but as I was getting onto Cracker Park, and as I'm getting onto the freeway, suns are shining, birds chirping, traffic's minimal. I was like, power! And I did, and 123 miles an hour, no problem, just full burn. And then I'm like, state trooper! And so you can watch the video, it's great, but I go past the state trooper at about 85, right? And I stopped the camera because I don't want my own video to be used against me.
Right.
I don't want the state trooper walking up and seeing a red flashing light, because that's easy for him. Like, dude's just gonna grab my camera and be like, well, see you in court, pal.
Yeah.
So I'd rather get the ticket for 80 something than 100 and something. Because 100 and something, that means I'm gonna have to buy the guy another bike.
Yeah.
So I'm probably not gonna see that again for a while. There's some title shit to sort out first.
Oh yeah.
You can't pick up a bike at the impound you don't have a title for. So I turn the camera off as I get into the slow lane. He pulls me over. I pull over like a gentleman, and I'll tell you what that looks like. That means pull over immediately. Don't make them chase you.
Right.
Fuck Hunter S. Thompson. Don't make them chase you. They don't appreciate a fight.
Right.
Pull over immediately. Side stand down. I didn't pull my gloves and jacket off as fast as I could because I don't want to give the impression of I'm going to throw down.
Right.
I just had my hands out to the side, waiting peacefully. Please don't shoot me. He's a state trooper, though. They don't shoot anybody.
No.
Comes out. He's got his perfect hat on. His round browns on. He's got his mask on perfectly. Like, this dude is a professional. He pulls up, and I proceed to tell him 1,000 lies about like, dude, guy in front of me saw you, full brake check. You must have saw his headlights dive. I had nowhere to go. I had to go around him on the left, and I'll admit it, I gunned it because I need that jerk behind me. And he's like, yeah, it's dangerous out there. And he went back and he ran me, and he came when I heard his door close, and he was only gone for like 93 seconds. I got lighter. Because there ain't no ticket ever been written in 93 seconds. No. So he came back and he was super cool. And I didn't have to,
So there's 400 warnings you have, though.
Yeah, right. So I don't understand, Mr. Waters.
Did you have the conversation that this is an electric motorcycle?
Well, no, and that was the one thing I thought he'd be interested in, the fact that how are you out on the freeway on something with such a ridiculous utility tire? Because it says agricultural use only on the side of the tire,
right?
And you're going well over the fucking speed limit.
So let me ask you this: when a cop pulls over you, and you probably had a dealer plate on, right?
No, I had the first temporary tag on, which in Ohio is made of paper.
Okay.
So when he ran me, it just came back to, ClevelandMoto just sold it.
Okay. Because that's what I was going to ask. Like, if you got pulled over with the dealer plate.
He asked me if I owned it. He said, first thing is, do you own this? And I said, well, no. I said, I'm the dealer. Here's my business card to show that I'm the dealer principal. But I just sold this. The guy's coming to pick it up today.
And I'm doing a rundown.
And I just want to make sure everything's safe and everything. So I wrote it home and wrote it back. I did get written in Westlake a couple of years ago when our shop was still in Lakewood, and I got written, and it wasn't even on a particularly sexy bike. It was on like a PC 800 or something else that I was just, and it wasn't mine. It was, and it was something of that ilk, but I got pulled over for like 105 because the customer who brought it in said at anything over 100, it shakes violently and it's not safe.
Right.
So, at some point,
you gotta do it.
I gotta do it, right? And it was super early in the morning. There was no traffic. And I told the cop, I said, I'm in a bad spot here. I gotta do this to do my job.
Right.
But
I never speed.
And he's like, well, you're supposed to do that on a closed course.
Okay.
Where?
All right.
Can you recommend one, officer?
Yeah.
Where do you go 105 miles an hour? Oh, on the side streets. I forgot.
You just put your lights on and go through everything. Yeah.
You just put everyone else at risk.
In school zones.
Yeah, school zones. I'm sorry. I forgot. That's a closed course. School zones in my neighborhood. So yeah.
And in my neighborhood in Cleveland Heights, the South Taylor gets clogged. It's a road and it gets clogged quite a bit.
Yeah.
The cops go down my 25 mile an hour road at like 109 miles an hour.
They're
with no
bypassing
lights on
South Taylor.
all the time.
You need to put a stop strip.
Well, I was going to put a speed bump in the middle. I was going to sneak out in the middle. I was
Just
hoping.
not a ramp on it.
Yeah, I was hoping.
What's that? Those things? Those topas? Or
Oh, those topes. Yeah,
Topaz, man.
Yeah.
put that in
Topaz.
front of your house and watch your suspension go.
What is
Dude,
it?
I just built my own Topaz.
It's impressive though, because I live on a street that really cuts a corner in Akron. All the ambulances go down.
Oh,
the
really?
street.
They use yours as a
really quick, and it's impressive how fast a Ford Explorer can go on those streets. It's incredible.
They're fast to begin with.
Yeah.
A Topaz, when you see a Topaz sign, it's a yellow sign, and it looks like Dolly Parton laying on her back. Okay? That's the best way to describe it. And basically what it means is when you see that sign, that means that there are no Mexicans with speed cameras. There are no Mexicans with lasers. They don't feel the need to set cops there to check your speed. They just put Topaz out to just remove your suspension.
Oh man.
So rather than having to waste money on police and write stupid things like traffic tickets and speeding tickets, they just
car,
put these things out there. And sometimes you time them right, and you'll get 3-4 feet of air on a Vespa. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Oh, yeah, we were
I've
playing.
done it before. Yeah,
Oscar's
wheelies and shit. Fuck
Oscar's
yeah.
really good at it.
Oh my
He can
god.
bunny hop Topaz.
How tall is it? Like, what is it? It's like, is it
Asphalt. Just
I'm going to say they're about 6 inches.
Wow.
yeah, a solid 6 inches. Yeah.
Oh, that weight. Yeah, that checks out.
They're at least as big as this. They're at least as big as this tall boy can, right? But they're pretty
that's
aggressive.
like what, 14 inches,
Exactly.
right? That's
My buddy at work was just telling me like he throws a fucking old tire out in the middle of the street.
Oh, really?
He lives over in Euclid. He's like,
Yeah.
they got these kids and they, tire
He
loads,
doesn't
like,
even have to. There's probably like 100 old tires in the street.
Yeah, he's like, we get people flying up and down the street. I'll just throw the tire out there, out in the middle of the street. Everybody's got to slow down to drive around.
Pilsner, a couple
Yeah, they're like a
bumbleberries.
foot and a half long, but they're like 6 inches tall. And
Wow.
and sometimes they do like two back to back.
They always
fuck up with you really bad.
That's
So you can do doubles.
Oh yeah, you can do a lot of damage.
problem with having they're usually travel in pairs again, right? The problem with that is that while your tire is reacting from the first one, it tries to come down and it comes down and hits that, so it's an
Right.
interference wave
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
That's why they're so damaging. Right?
Yeah, the worst
no,
ones-
I have trouble pulling out of my driveway. That's only like a 2.5 inch drop.
Well, I figured that out on. So I've been hauling sludge for the last few days, and so I have a dump truck that's way overloaded, and we have a railroad track that comes up like this.
Yeah.
So at first I started going over it like slowing way down, going over it at 10 miles an hour, and the truck's like whatever.
Yeah.
But I figured now if
Go
I hit it
faster?
at 60,
There you
What?
go.
Yeah.
no, I hit.
Wait a second. You have an overloaded dump truck full of poo,
Yeah.
and you're hitting railroad tracks
go
at
wrong?
60.
No, because I timed it. I make so many runs that I kept on like trying different speeds.
I'm
So
seeing a
I-
whole different episode of the Duke Boys. The Dukes of
No,
Hazzard.
at 60,
the Dukes of Hazzard.
it's smooth as silk. Going if you hit it at 55,
It's zero G's.
It's zero G's, exactly.
No, because the poos are
just like,
suspended. And you, but seriously, it's 60,
Most of it
it's
lands
smooth.
back in the truck when you get to the other side.
Or on
I
the
want
state
to go
trooper
there
behind you.
because I guarantee where he touches down, there's poo everywhere.
Oh yeah.
Because you're gonna spill a little.
Yeah. Jeez.
But at
There's a little
55, it feels like the suspension's getting ripped out of the
Oh,
truck.
really?
But at 60, you don't even feel those tracks.
Bitch, it smooths out great at 85.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
He's consulting Evil Knievel's ramp guy. He's like, oh, so I got to deal with 2.5 tons of shit.
God.
Literally.
Literally, in a dump truck. What's the vector on this?
That's like the
What's
test
the Victor
driver.
Vector?
That's like the test driver for the McLaren F1 who was like, yeah, at 190 there was a little bit of a wobble there, but I just powered through it and it was fine.
Well, at 185 it was okay, and at 190 there was a problem. So I figured 195. We'll see what happens. Damn it. Yeah. So the Zero SRF, I'm sad to say, works perfectly, and the Bosch stability control system understands what a TKC 80 is, and just does all the math for you, and all the things still work perfectly. And
is that the tire on the Transalp?
No.
That's a Pirelli something.
That's a Pirelli on the Transalp.
Yeah. So it's a TKC.
It's what I got on
smoother.
the G400 Scrambler in there. It's a street tire. I don't know, dude. It's a DOT knobby tire, but it's just like the knobs are just like a joke. They're like a novelty tire.
Yeah.
They're remarkably good at certain things, but looking sexy is what they're best at. Like, they're just put it on anything. They look great. But weirdly enough, I have cornered on these tires way deeper than I should ever corner on any knobby. And I've had bikes where we spent money on tires that were supposed to be able to be like a good street tire, but also fairly good in the dirt. And you get out there and you lean it over like this far, and the bike's like trying to pass you.
Like a 50-50 tire, like a 70-30.
And whereas a TKC 80 is just like in its own fucking world of like, it just makes your dick look bigger. That's all it does.
You convinced me. I'm putting them on my Series 1.
I was going to say, if they make them in 3.5 by 10s, I'm all over that shit. Yeah, I couldn't
Going on my
stop.
Series 1. I'm going to put them on.
Yep.
And we're going to need some modification. You got a good welder in there?
He has a welder.
Jack up. It's not a good welder. Yeah.
Okay, we'll use.
My shop's never seen a good welder, an operator or the device. Yeah. Either way, if you're defining the man behind the stick or the guy or the stick itself, we've never had a good welder. So guys want to hear a bit of a recall was announced.
What?
I'm going to tell you about
0, right?
2 recalls. So the first recall I'm going to tell you about is the Harley Davidson Live Wire.
Oh,
man. It's been out for like, what, 20 years?
What's that? The live wire. Yeah. So the electricity of the live
that
wire
affects about what, 300 bikes?
So no, over 1,000.
Bad CDI unit.
It's 999 bikes.
1,012.
I wonder
still use a CDI.
12 bikes.
I wonder if this originated from the boys doing Long Way Up, where everything bricked out and they couldn't even fucking ride anymore.
I will say that was extraordinarily embarrassing. The first 3 episodes of Long Way Up are just like, you were riding a Zero.
Yeah.
At Ewan's house, you were riding the bike that could plug into anything on planet Earth
and work
with no adapters and give you 200 miles of range. And it already had the correct suspension under it.
And
you could put a windshield on that you could actually look through.
And more importantly, the dude from, what's your suit name that you wear?
Aerostitch.
Aerostitch.
Yeah.
Those motherfuckers.
I only wear the coat.
Sorry.
I'm not one of those.
I have the book.
No, but those
Aerostitch jacket, short pants.
Yes.
Right. But the Aerostitch
He's the only guy I
guys.
know with an Aerostitch jumper.
But they
No, what's that? What are those?
A romper.
Aerostitch
romper.
No, but the Aerostitch guys, for Zero, they tested in whatever, Minneapolis, in negative fucking 400-degree weather, and it worked, and they lost like 10% of their mileage. The Harleys lost like 50% of their mileage.
They couldn't charge.
Yeah, they couldn't. Yeah, right.
And they tried plugging it into everything except for a sex toy, and the fucking thing wouldn't charge. And they plugged it into this hotel that was closed.
And
there were no other guests. There was nobody else using anything. They unplugged the pinball machine. They plugged it in, and they shut the whole place down.
The whole place was like,
and I was like,
fuck you.
You got a problem. It wouldn't handle one Harley.
have one 10-amp fuse in the entire hotel.
Yeah. Welcome to South America.
Yeah.
And it was somebody else's chewed up bubble gum.
Well, you knew it was going to be a problem when like the deal with Harley Davidson was like before they started, which was only 8 weeks away, they were going to install 156 fast chargers starting from fucking Russia all the way up.
Yeah, Rivian installed 150 fast chargers between Tierra del Fuego and Mexico Mexico.
Supposedly.
So that they'd have somewhere to plug into. And they got to South America and realized they couldn't plug them in. Because Harley don't go that way. Because theirs is beta and the other one's VHS.
Right.
Yeah, because they probably couldn't run off 50 hertz or something.
Well, and that's really what it boiled down to. But the ultimate
they had the
irony.
They had the weird prong flags.
Well, they get to one hotel and they're like, oh, I don't have an airport travel adapter. So they had to call out to the bastards who were stuck on the side of the road with the Rivians. And apparently the world's only diesel Sprinter van that ran out of gas after 90 miles. But I checked. You can't do that.
The best part about the Rivians is that they weren't even finished. They had video game controller buttons inside of them. It was crazy.
It was all vaporware still.
So good.
But so back to the Harley thing, though, that is hilarious. One, if you watch it and you know about electric motorcycles, you know about electric vehicles, you're going to go insane yelling at your TV. Just going to let you know where you're at.
Well, then I better not watch it.
Just take a pass, because when you start doing the math on their charging times and shit, and you get Google Earth out and you're like, where did they really go? And you're like, they ran out of battery in 43 miles.
Yeah.
How the fuck did they do that?
Well, and also it ruined the first 5 episodes.
Yeah.
It's not fun. They're just like, all they're doing is worried about charging.
They spent 2 weeks looking for an outlet.
Yeah.
And there was not a single pop machine to unplug anywhere.
So they eat any good food, though.
The diesel truck.
I love how they go over to a diesel truck, to a multi-gajillion dollar Sprinter van that was built specifically to charge these vehicles on the road. They went over and plugged in. It didn't work.
Yeah.
Could have checked that out when you were in California, where it was like air conditioned.
Well, they didn't have a thing, but the weird part is that it changed the dynamic of the show so much in the travel that it's like
you could see the stress on their face. Yeah. They were just like, I'm hating this. So anyway, back to the recall.
Last week the power went out. I fired up my fucking Harbor Freight generator and powered my whole goddamn house.
Me too. I did too.
That's all I had to do.
By episode 2 of this Long Way Up, you see this suspicious giant white industrial truck show up with a generator that can power Cleveland in the back of it and 2 level 3 chargers in the back. Yeah. And you're just like, oh, that is following everywhere they go now. Yeah.
No, now they're plugged in and they just drive with the cords.
The cords are just going
plugged into the.
The one thing that I was looking at versus the Zero and the live wire.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the live wire is a vented battery.
It's different battery technology,
Yeah, the Zero is a sealed battery technology.
Yes, there's nothing can get into a Zero battery.
And I mean, one of the principles that you have to look at when you're looking at electricity and the generation of electricity in those systems is, have you ever put a bottle of water in the refrigerator?
Yes, exactly.
And it's ice cold, but it's liquid inside the bottle.
Right.
And then you crack the top and it turns to slush.
It's like beer. Yeah, like when
that's what happens in vented batteries.
Yep.
So the live wire, I'm pretty certain, is a vented battery. So whenever they have sub-zero temperatures, or sub-standard zero, 32 degrees or below, that water that is feeding the acid turns to slush. It's the same as like with
all the efficiency goes away and everything.
It goes away.
As it discharges, doesn't the gravity go down on it? So it'd be more likely to turn to slush as it discharges, right?
Exactly. You need to have a vacuum.
So the thing that's hilarious about this is that they had prototype software on the bikes.
Well, don't they have a vacuum? Because all Harleys suck. Sorry.
No, but they had prototype software on the Harleys that they got
and the dirt bags
that gave them the ability to go 160 miles in optimal conditions, right?
Yeah.
But it didn't work for any whatever. But on top of that, in the cold, they were getting like 50 to your exact point because the battery technology was bad. But the best part about it is, so they had this they didn't mention the software until they had to, because Ewan went to turn the bike on.
It was great.
And it was bricked.
Yeah.
And they couldn't do anything. The software engineers were like, fuck, it's bricked.
They made an update allegedly overnight and just hosed the bike. Just hosed it. Bricked it.
So the Zeros they could have updated with their cell phone.
Well, and I'm going to let you know, when the Minneapolis Challenge happened, the Minneapolis Winter, the Minnesota Winter Challenge that Aerostitch did on these bikes, I would like to remind you that happened over 5 years ago.
Right. With a stock bike.
With stock bikes.
With no weird software.
They were proving that it was doable over 5 years ago. Zero anyway. But anyway, not to fuck with Harley too much.
And Zero has the benefit of being like immediately next door to Tesla. Okay, so if you have an engineering issue, okay, hire the guy that's working at Tesla.
And here's the thing:
they did that to me twice. Yeah. So it's just the way it is.
I'm a huge fan of the series, the Up series,
of course, the Long Way
whatever.
series. Yes,
I like Charlie. I like Ewan. Like,
I would watch Ewan McGregor read the fucking phone book.
Right.
I don't care. Yeah,
but the thing that I realized from this series is, and I'm sure it's not their fault, it's the production's fault, but they turned down a reliable bike and something that they could have literally done this without a thing.
Fucking paycheck.
Yeah,
right.
that's what it is.
Because Zero went, yeah, we'll give you the bikes, but we're not going to build you a whole infrastructure.
No,
right?
Because they don't need to.
They don't have the
Zero doesn't or want
two
to.
bikes that will ever be using it.
It's actually,
and they weren't even stock bikes. They
what they
built
should have
them.
done is had one and had like installed it,
I'm
and then
gonna
as
say
they
the
drove, they
offer is
should have picked
open.
it up and drove with a car.
For
and
anybody
installed
who
it
wants to
today.
finance me, I will be happy to start in Tierra del Fuego, and I'll do the entire trip that they did, but I'll do it on a Zero DS.
How much?
Me too.
That's what I'm saying.
I'll do it with you.
Right.
Yeah,
we'll
figure
do
out
it.
the number.
And it won't take us 100 days.
Nope.
And we'll use all the chargers they paid for.
Wait, and here's the thing too: you don't even have to do that. You could carry one of these little pocket inverters,
Right. Yeah.
that is like 25 pounds. Throw it on the back of your
But
fucking.
Wayne, they already put those sweet ass chargers in.
Yeah, but I'm just saying,
Somebody use them before the natives just strip them for parts.
Right.
you do it for
The
nothing.
Jawas
It
are
would
going to get all
cost
that
you
shit.
Well, and the funny part,
$1 in gasoline every 6 days.
I charged my Zero off of one of those Honda 2,000 watt, suitcase things. I just plugged it in. It was perfectly fine.
You did see Rachel from Harley Davidson. She said, this is going to solve all your problems. Rachel from Harley Davidson was certain that she pointed, she goes, this is what you need. It's this 5 kW generator and this juice box. And Ewan went, but it doesn't fit on the motorcycle. And Rachel went, oh, it has to fit on the motorcycle?
Yes.
And Ewan went, well, that's kind of part of the trip. And we wanted to charge. We know we're going to be charging in people's houses. And that's part of the trip, is that we want to meet people and, do this thing. Well, every house they plug that into is on fire now.
Yeah, right. It didn't work.
It's just like,
What they needed to do is they needed to use an inverter, use inverter technology.
Yeah.
Plug it in and then limit the inrush.
It's inexcusable.
In fact, they when they left, the initial stage 1 charger didn't even work.
well, funny you should mention that, because that was Harley's first recall, was that they wouldn't charge at stage 1.
Right.
So it meant if you owned a Harley Davidson, you had to take it to your dealership to ride it.
Oh, wonderful.
Which meant sales pitch, whatever.
right.
So I'm going to read you the recall so anybody thinks that we're not fucking biased against Harley Davidson.
That's the
This
point.
is the actual recall for anybody who's paying attention. It's NHTSA recall number 20 V Victor 624. That's what it's called. You can look it up yourself. This relates to 1,012 motorcycles, according to Harley Davidson. They claim that although they are recalling 1,012 motorcycles, this issue probably will only really affect 1% of those. So do the math, that's 10 motorcycles may be affected by this. You don't do a recall because it might affect 10 motorcycles. I've been in this industry a long time. And also somebody said, well, 1,012 vehicles, what percentage is that of all the Harley Davidson live wires that have been sold? And I did look it up and try and do things. So the best information I can find is that
200%.
Harley Davidson has sold somewhere between 1,000 and 3,000 live wires.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
It's not really.
Don't sold that many bikes this year.
Vespa, to give you an idea of how many bikes that is, Vespa does limited editions like the Sean Weatherspoon edition, 1,000 bikes, and sells it out in 7 days. Moto Guzzi did the V7 Cafe Racer. They did a limited run of 500 bikes, sold it out in about 4 days. 1,000 is a really small number when you think of America or the planet. Okay, so it would be like everybody. If there were 20 in each state in America, that would be 1,000 bikes.
I should say I'm surprised they sold that many.
Right. Yeah, and that is 1,012 is the number of bikes this is affecting.
Right.
So I'm going to read it to you. Everybody wants to know what happens, right? This is what's happened. The software in the onboard charging system may initiate a shutdown of the electric vehicle powertrain without providing reasonable warning to the rider. What is reasonable warning? When you're going 80 miles an hour, define reasonable warning that you're about to lose all propulsion.
A two-stroke seizing. I mean,
blue screen of death and
Blue screen of death on your phone.
here's the thing.
404 error.
But here's the thing with an electric bike, you don't have a clutch to pull in to save your ass.
No, well,
here it is. Fuck.
And so here we go. In some cases, and again, listen to the words here, because they're claiming this affects 1% of 1,000 bikes.
Right.
That's 10 bikes.
Right.
I'm going to read you this language, and you're going to say, ooh, it happened on more than 10 bikes. In some cases, the vehicle may not be able to be restarted, or if restarted, may shortly thereafter shut down again. Unexpected loss of propulsion of the vehicle while in motion without the ability to restart or remain restarted may increase the risk of a crash. Yes.
Yeah.
If I lose power in a 50 mile an hour turn, I will increase the risk of a crash. Because the stability control system is going out with it.
Right.
Anyway.
Wait, if I'm not mistaken, when that wheel stops, it stops.
No, they'll freewheel. It's electric.
Well, they kind of
be
free.
generating a lot of electricity.
There will be.
It'll recharge your battery. You can't use it though because it's not gonna.
Okay, so
Have you ever seen in Star Wars where Qui-Gon is going against the Emperor?
Yeah.
And he's shooting the electricity at him, and it's reflecting back off the lightsaber, and it's deteriorating
burning
the Emperor.
Right.
Yeah, that's that's what's happening to your motorcycle.
Any excessive voltage goes straight to your gonads. Actually, no, it's true though. I did check it out though. That any excessive voltage on the Harley Davidson Livewire goes directly to the gremlin bell. So you do have a very strong gremlin bell at that point.
But baby Yoda, cute,
adorable, and I will honor that forever. So what should you do?
That's
Please contact your Harley Davidson Livewire dealer immediately to schedule an appointment to have updated OBC software installed at no cost to you. The OBC software update will address the defect condition. While your motorcycle is at the dealer to have the recall remedy performed, your dealer will also install at no charge updates to the instrument module and electric vehicle powertrain, also known as the EVPT or motor.
Oh, shit. Wow.
To improve the riding and charging experience. Now, hold on, guys. I'm going to read that again, but I'm going to translate it for you.
Yes.
We will remove the hand grips and put something new on your hand grips.
Well, hold on, guys. While your motorcycle is at the dealer, your dealer will install
at no charge, no pun intended,
updates to the instrument cluster will be installed. Updates to the motor will be installed.
All right.
Thank you, Joe. Well, what I'm wondering is I'm hoping that all of this is software and none of this is hardware.
Right.
Because I think they might be using this as an opportunity to bring all the horses back to the barn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like this is an opportunity to get them all back in. So you can do this over here under this very, very, but I was going to say very benign thing. But honestly, if my bike loses power at 80 miles an hour and it won't restart, that's not benign.
Dude, let me ask you this. Yep. If you're on 271 a highway and you're passing a semi at 80 miles an hour and your bike shuts off, that's not a small problem.
No, but honestly, in the grand scheme of things, so you're a guy who has ridden two strokes his whole life, anything that doesn't involve a burned up rear tire and a change of underwear is a good day.
Yeah, but at the same time, if the motor blows up, you can.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
But you can grab a clutch and at least keep some.
Nobody on a Harley Davidson Livewire knows what pre-detonation sounds like.
But here's the thing: if with an engine seizing, the rear wheel locks up.
Well, yes.
If the zero just stops, it's gonna freewheel. It's gonna roll.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're direct drive.
It's going to regenerative brake.
Right. Exactly.
No, but if it goes dead, if it's dead, it just rolls free.
And here's what I'm going to tell you:
it is generating power. That power has to go somewhere.
Overall,
it's actually when your key is off. the bike rolls way easier
Oh
when
yeah,
your keys
totally.
on.
When the keys off,
It's not regen.
it's freewheel. When the key's on, it's
If you have a
regen.
generator
But we're
and,
not
it,
talking about
and
the
you-
key
if
being
you have
on.
a
The key
generator
is
and
in
you're spinning
positive
it
mode.
and there's no load
Yeah, but
on
if
it,
the whole
it's no
thing
load.
dies, if it shuts the controller off, then it's like it's turned off.
Well,
I think. I mean, I would.
But even if
You
it
would hope.
even if
You would
it
hope.
was
You
generating
would hope.
electricity,
Yeah.
it would not be the same amount of force keeping
Correct.
that wheel from
That's
rotating than a seized piston.
That's right. Exactly.
No, that's way worse.
It's still a much better day. Yeah. Okay, but here's what I'm going to, next point. Over recall remedy and additional software enhancements. So the recall remedy and additional software enhancements will take less than 1.5 hours to perform. However, due to scheduling, the dealer may require your motorcycle for a longer period of time. Due to scheduling, your flight may arrive as many as 14 weeks late. I'm just going to let you know, there is one Harley-Davidson dealership in your neighborhood that could probably do this update. I'm going to suggest that maybe not every Harley dealership in the world is ready. Some of them opted out of even selling live wires.
But what about having a dealership on every corner for the reason to buy an old, I don't know.
Starbucks.
As long as they speak live wire, you're in good shape.
Why don't they just put Harley Davidson dealerships in Starbucks?
Or Starbucks and
Or
Harley Davidson.
BMW.
Yeah, exactly.
BMW Harley right there. Yeah.
While you're getting a Frappuccino latte, they'll install crash bars on your BMW. Yeah.
Getting you ready for the tat that you'll
Screaming
never
Eagle
go on.
latte.
Really hot.
Really good. That's really good. There's fringe on that shit. It's got conchos.
One of my favorite memories is I took my Sportster to one of those high school car wash things. I was like, hey, I really just want to give you the $10.
I just want you to have the $10.
Okay.
Right.
Just
No 16-year-old
don't mess with it
rubbing
too
on
much.
your- yeah.
You don't need to throw water anywhere.
Yeah, just here's $10. You're like, oh no,
We
wash
want to
it.
wash it. Yeah.
And this little girl comes up and she goes, it burns her hand like a
Instantly.
Oh no! Screaming Eagle pipes, nothing like a hot ass pipe.
In this case, it was a screaming brownie.
and I went, I told you not to touch it. And she goes,
Scarred for life. No fingerprints.
Dude, I did that to my
Flipper,
wife.
baby.
I did that to my wife. When I first was dating my wife, I had
What was
at
that,
the
like-
time was a Magna 750.
Yeah. Right, yeah. Four
It's-
pipes everywhere.
Oh yeah, and I told her, I was like, dude, I'm like, you can't put your legs anywhere near the pipes.
Right.
But this is back in the day when you're dating. So if you show up and she's in a dress, you're like, I'm riding anyway.
I'm riding anyway. Yeah.
So we went somewhere, and sure enough, I'm like, what's that smell? And she's going, and her leg to this day is completely scarred from my motorcycle. It's fucking great.
hold on, wait. Let's show our exhaust scars.
Yeah. I dated a girl for a little while.
Exhaust scars, bullet scars. Hey.
I dated a girl for a little
You
while.
must have been to Pinkies. You've been to Pinkies in Parma if you're talking about scars and bullet scars. And
You're not allowed to work there until you've had 2 C-sections. Just got a zipper installed.
It's like I showed them a couple of my
I'm
bullet wounds at
pregnant.
Lido, and they offered me a job.
I dated a girl for a while who was in that, she was in that, the less clothes she wore, the more money she made profession.
yeah.
And so I'd go pick her up.
She was a cop, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I'd go pick her up on the motorcycle sometimes. And so I'd pick her up and I'd go downtown to where she worked and I'd pick her up and like she would know I was coming on the motorcycle. But I forgot that like when she went into work, her entire like going to work outfit could fit in a Ziploc bag. Right. So I'd pick her up from work sometimes and she'd be wearing like no clothes. Just no fucking clothes. Like literally, she had less clothes on than I would use to clean my windshield.
Right.
She
A
had
sock for a
clothes
tube
on.
top and
it was
underwear.
ridiculous.
Right, yeah.
And so I'd be like, well, this life hasn't changed. I still ride motorcycles.
Right.
And so she'd get on the back of the motorcycle with just, very little clothes on. And I'm like, people behind us got to be freaking out and just loving it. The little schoolgirl skirt thing, whatever. And it was like I wasn't self-conscious for her, but I also wasn't ready to get in a lot of fights on the way home. And so the one night we roll out of there and she's wearing particularly no clothes and it was fucking cold, like really cold. And for people who don't live in
getting
Cleveland,
stabbed in the back.
Yeah, I lived at the time on the extreme east side of Cleveland in Willoughby, which is like not even in Cleveland anymore. And she worked downtown at like, it literally at
that's a freeway haul,
right? And so she's working at the heart of downtown. Right?
Crazy Horse?
What's that?
Crazy Horse?
Yes.
Not that I've ever been
she was
there.
at the
I'm
horse.
just saying. Yeah, right.
So she was at the horse, and so I pick her up, and I'm like, well,
never heard of it.
Yeah.
And I've got everything. I've got the leather jacket. I got the pants. I'm like fully ready.
What month was this?
This would have been one of those really, really good months. You know the weather's going to be totally good and predictable like November, right? And I picked her up. She jumps on the back, and I'm like, do you want my jacket? And she's like, no, I'm fine. So, you got to go through the city a little bit before you get on the freeway. And she made the executive decision at that point that she was like, no, we're not taking the freeway. I cannot handle, because 50 degrees at 70 miles an hour equals negative 40 degrees.
When I go through the east side of Cleveland because it's safe.
Right. So
you sent that thing over to me, and it's crazy how much colder.
It's crazy how cold it is.
Yeah.
So she told me we are not going on the freeway under any circumstances, and I said that's your funeral. So we had to drive, as you do, through Cleveland on Euclid Avenue, which don't do that with a mostly naked tiny girl in the back of your motorcycle at 2:30 in the morning.
Right.
So we were stopping at occasional red lights, and the East Cleveland police pulled up and said, stopping at red lights. Just get out of here.
Just go home.
You're going to create an incident if anyone sees you.
There's drums beating in the background.
We need you out of our
being
war
ripped
zone.
out of all the houses.
Yes.
They're coming after you.
We need you out of our war zone as quick as possible. You need to get the fuck back to the east side suburbs, you white motherfucker. And you and Karen here need to get the fuck out of here. And so we did, and I was just like, okay, great. I got license from the police to go speed and go through red lights.
Right.
So we did all that, and we made the distance, right? But there's another strip club at the halfway point called the Executives Den.
Oh yeah.
Right? So the Executives Den is the halfway spot. But if you don't know this, strippers have like a code. Like all strippers are welcome anywhere at any time. That's also a strip club.
Right.
They have a special handshake or something. I don't know.
Right.
But
I don't think it's a handshake.
I was like, well, it's 2:30 in the goddamn morning. Executives Den is going to be closed.
Right.
And she's like, they'll let us in.
Couple of scissors and you're in.
And so we pulled up. She was freezing, like ridiculously cold. We pull up to the den, parked the bike, and no shit, they opened the door.
Yeah.
And we went in there and we had drinks and hung out with the strippers that are just too fucked up to go home, I guess.
Right.
And so we were in there for an hour while she warmed up, and it got colder outside because that's stripper logic. Stripper logic is let's go in there and get warmed up, which means like 7 drinks.
But all she needed is some medical cocaine and she'd have been fine.
So yeah, we got back on the bike and did the last half hour.
Shit.
The last half hour again on surface streets.
Right.
And I was like, fuck, by the time I got home, I felt terrible for her. Because like she was wearing, what strippers wear?
right.
Nothing. Like when they're wearing their clothes, they're wearing nothing.
Let me ask you this. So when you got back with all that cold weather, there's probably no, was there any action or anything? Or?
Oh, are you fucking kidding me? Jesus Christ, no.
It's like a cold clam.
Oh, it's terrible. No, that's not an aphrodisiac.
You'd rather stick your dick in the freezer.
Christ. I've been at seafood markets and seen warmer fish than that.
Your penis literally stuck to her leg.
Oh, it's terrible. It's a young guy, too. It wouldn't have mattered, but
I'm thinking Dumb and Dumber. She probably peed and they were just frozen together.
That was like funeral home training. I'm staying away from that.
Your tongue got stuck to her pussy.
I'll take you out for another ride. Get some hot water. I'm going to take you for another lap around the block. I'll make you lay on this metal table.
I'm
Great. Don't move. Don't move.
So I'm in the awesome position right now with my wife. I go, hey, I want to get a motorcycle that we can ride and tour on and do like fun stuff on. And I come up with like BMW tour bikes and
all kinds of good options.
There's so many great options out there. And she goes, no, they're ugly. And I go, yeah, but they're comfortable. Yeah. Right?
You didn't say yeah, but so you're
my wife would. Yeah, she would give me the go ahead, and I'd punch you in the face.
Margaret approves.
Margaret approves. I'm not allowed to punch anybody in the face until she says so. Yeah. So
I think there's a totally good rule there.
Yeah,
it's not a bad one.
I used to punch a lot of people in the face. It's not okay anymore. I guess.
The packaging.
Happy Robertson.
Yeah. James was the grumpy one, but I was like the sociopathic one that would just
the grumpy one and the punchy one.
I have watched James and Wayne fight so many times, and then it became somewhat boring at some point. Because I used to try to get in and help. I used to try to get in and help you guys. Like I'd see them fighting, which is usually drunk 30.
Come on, guys.
This is Phil going, hey, no guys, come on, calm down. It's okay. You're brothers.
I would do.
And then Phil gets a black eye. He's like, you know what? Fuck you guys.
Exactly. Fuck both of you. And so I used
you were fighting each other. We're fighting on the same team.
And they're both crazy, they're crazy dangerous fighters, right?
Yeah, right.
So trying to help out is the dumbest thing in the world. So I became fucking Switzerland at this point, just like second watching. And
the best night was when James broke his ankle.
Yes.
And this is at band camp. I don't know if you guys have all been to band camp, but we're at band camp. James breaks his ankle, and I'm trying to do triage and help my brother out. And he's getting all squirrely with me. And finally, he at that time had been practicing Kromke for a couple years, and he thinks he's going to try me out. And I'm like, hey, listen, I've literally been fighting my whole life. You've been doing this a couple years, bro.
he had a broken ankle.
Yeah, and he had a broken ankle. And I just go
help him.
And is all I want to do is help him.
And fractures.
Everybody at band camp was trying to go, no, you guys need to calm down. And Phil's like, no, seriously.
I walked away. I literally walked away. 9 people were trying to go in to help, and I was like, no, you'll get hurt.
Yeah.
Just fucking go away.
They lived with each other for many years when they were
They've been
young.
fighting each other since they were babies.
You don't fuck with that.
Not even when we were young. When I retired from the Marines, James and I lived together for 3 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. In the same house. Going to the same
How much drywall was left in that?
I was going to say, they're both so socially accommodated.
Fought in the house.
Okay.
That was the rule. because it was
on the lease agreement.
Yeah,
when fighting, please
because
leave.
It was James's house and I didn't want to get kicked out. And I was drunk.
You can fight. You're not
jobless
just outside. Right.
And they each have their own drunken monkey fighting style.
They were like, they got to the point they were like, hold on, let's take it outside.
Okay, yeah.
It's cold out. Maybe we should table this for later.
Yeah, right.
Let's have a few more beers.
Save this one till spring.
Actually, the last time James and I actually got into a real knockdown, drag-out fight was November 10th, 2014.
Wow, that's coming up. The anniversary is a few days away.
It's the anniversary, yeah.
But James is so.
Now you're moving back to Cleveland. That's all good.
James, Margaret, 3 days later, came to Cleveland. Picked me up and took me to North Carolina. She says, no more of this bullshit.
No more.
You need to grow up a little bit. So she took me and made me not be a heathen anymore.
So
you know my wife's name is Margaret.
Yep.
She must be a very handsome fella.
I call her Peggy.
You do.
I know
Peggy. It's what she do.
But yeah, Margaret with the riding. So she goes, yeah, I like this bike, maybe we could ride 2 up on that. And I go,
what was it?
That's a Thruxton. We're not riding that across country. You can just fuck straight off.
It's pretty. It's handsome.
It's beautiful.
We can go to,
yeah, I've always wanted one. Awesome. But no, we can't
make
ride
it
that.
comfortable. That's it. Yeah.
I would say prove it. Just get one and then stick her on the back and go about 17 hours and see how she feels after that.
No.
I can't ride a Thruxton for 17 hours.
I think that's a terrible idea.
I take her down the street and be like, all right, get off.
So, okay, but again, we make fun of Harley. That's fine. They've earned it, but they can afford for us to make fun of them. But Zero also had a recall.
I saw that.
So Zero had a recall as well. And Zero was very quick to announce to our dealer network very quickly that they've had a recall. Gentlemen, hold on to your hats. It has affected 64 motorcycles.
Wow.
Now,
out of how many have they sold?
A lot. A lot.
More than 100.
More than a lot. Okay. So what it actually is, I'm not going to get into how many motorcycle Zeros sold, but it's a lot.
Yeah. Well, is this a particular type of Zero?
Yes,
or is it
is.
Okay.
Thank you. So the problem is not with the Zero as a whole. The problem is with a particular little box on the Zero. The little box in particular is called a DC to DC converter. These are the ballywick of electric vehicles everywhere, because you have a vehicle that has this 106 volt battery in it, but somehow you need to peel off only 12 volts to run your lights and stupid shit that we need, right? Because they're all 12 volt, right? If we could make bulbs 106 volts, you wouldn't need a DC to DC converter, and just everything in the bike could be 106
volts. Can't you just take a 12 volt bulb and run it off the light, and then everything on the other side of the 12 volt bulb is 12 volts, right?
That is the world's worst example ever of a voltage regulator.
Would that work?
If the light's bright enough. As Vespa found out,
a 6,000 lumen light.
As Vespa found out a long time ago,
with a 2.3 inch element that goes to the middle of it.
Burn your battery out in 4 seconds.
Yeah, right.
People that work on old motorcycles will tell you that the way they used to voltage regulate motorcycles was just adding more bulbs until the load across all of them was 6 volts or 12 volts.
Right.
And then when one bulb went out, it was like the Christmas tree lights. Everything else went out too.
Yeah, right.
So, you'd rev it and you'd be like, wow, my lights just got brighter. No, they're about to burn out.
Yeah.
You're done.
C70 right there uses the battery as a
voltage regulator.
It's a balanced system, just like the Superhawk. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And if that battery's not there, your headlight will burn out.
So here's the way the Zero's problem is. So if you go to the website and you're concerned that your Zero, which it's only the ones from this run right now, 2020s, that are all going to be dated as 2021s. It's the ones that left the factory in the past like 30 days only. And what it is, there's 64 bikes that may be affected by this. Zero doesn't tell you it's a mystery and we're not going to let you know what's going on. Zero fucking literally puts down how to get it fixed, and then they show you pictures of the part in question.
Wow.
And where to look on the part in question for the UPC code that's on there, so you can check yourself to find out whether or not you're fucked or not. 64 bikes have this issue. Most of them are still sitting in dealer showrooms because they've only arrived to us in the past few days.
Right.
And it is literally just a small black box, and it's very easy to get to. And it does have the little revision on there. You'll be able to see which one it is. But if it fails, this is what might happen. Your ABS may functioning.
Oh.
Because it is providing DC current to all your DC 12 volt things, but at certain particular opportunities, the requirements of the ABS system may be such that it will be a little too hot for what is being put out by this DC to DC converter. So if you do in fact have the Revision B DC to DC converter, talk to your dealer. We'll get you a correct Revision A DC to DC converter, which is shipping to dealers immediately and no sweat. Just fucking call us or whatever. If you think it's going to be an issue for you, if you have one of the 64 bikes, not maybe 1% of 1,000 bikes, maybe. No, they're telling you that they know exactly what parts went into your bike, and that we got to take care of that. So, but if you haven't bought a Zero S or DS or SR or FX or FXS in the past 30 days, and you don't have one of the 64 bikes affected, which we know what they are, you should know. And just got a certified letter today, which I had to sign for, telling me the 3 bikes that are affected in here at my shop.
Oh, wow.
So to give you an idea, the difference in the way these companies are handling this is amazing.
Yep.
Like when you get a certified letter today from your mailman that says, you need to sign for this to prove that you got it. And we're deadlining these bikes. Nobody can ride them, or we're not going to sell them until this is addressed. I just have to say, that says a lot to me about bringing 1,100 bikes or bringing 1,000 bikes versus these 64 bikes. We know which bikes they are. We know to the letter what bikes they are. Let's take care of them.
Did they give you a budget as a shop to replace the part?
Yeah.
That's a great. So it's
And I'm telling you, it's a 10-minute fix if you're slow.
So it's not an hour and a half, and you can keep the bike for a month, right?
Right. Due to scheduling conflicts, we may have your bike for as much as a month, 2 months, or whatever. No, it's straight up. I've already
just tell it to you defective, and then we'll be able to bring it back.
I already took the covers off. I wanted to see what it was and confirm that all this was legit, because the funny thing was, this isn't on the Zero. Well, it is on the Zero website, but also on ADV Pulse and like all these other websites have these pictures that I'm showing to me right now. They all have these pictures here, so you can see exactly what's involved. There is complete disclosure. It is very, very visible. But yeah, it's only the DS, the DSR, the FX, the FXS, and so those are the bikes that are affected. It's only model year 21, so you have nothing to worry about if your bike is more than 40 days old or 30 days old. You're fine. Don't sweat it. But if you just wheeled one out of your dealership the other day, you might want to call them, right? You probably got a letter in the mail already. So
to kind of pigtail off this, because you're talking about electric bikes and you're talking about long way up and all that. Baldy from Adventure Rider he's been doing interviews with people, and he did one with Charlie Bookman from Up and
Charlie
Borman, sorry. But he just did, and this is the most interesting one, he just did an interview with Claudio, the cameraman and production guy from the whole series. And so here's the interesting part about this dude. This dude had nothing to do with motorcycles until they called him.
The camera guy.
Yeah. But he also is a guy that was doing like wartime and interesting interviews, and he interviewed Osama bin Laden. He was one of the few people that ever got in to interview Osama bin Laden back in the day. And it wasn't like a friendly thing. It was like, he just went to find out what this guy was about. But it was really
one
cool.
question. What would you like to ask Osama bin Laden, Wayne?
I on several occasions tried to interview Osama bin Laden. One of the questions I would have asked him is, bro, why are you hiding? But yeah, for years I tried to interview him, and he just went back to me. He wouldn't return my calls. So I don't understand.
Did you have a satellite phone? Maybe that was the problem.
I had several.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, I scoured several countries trying to find him.
Did you make it to the caves? Were you lost in the caves at some point, just trying to get that interview? Or?
Wayne, what do you think the last thing that went through Osama bin Laden's head was before he died?
223.
I was going to say, yeah. Whatever bullet they shot is pretty much.
So when you were, did you have the deck of cards? Do you still have any of that?
No, I was not. I was not a ghoul. I was a Marine. I believed in what I was doing at the time. Now I'm kind of sketched out by the whole thing. But, Osama bin Laden, he never got back to me. I don't understand. The guy never returned my calls, wouldn't write back, nothing. Mildly offended. Yeah,
really, I mean,
really a dick. I mean, I'm gonna go visit him in Arizona, I guess.
But I guess the point of my thing is that the guys that sometimes you don't see a lot of are really fucking cool.
Oh yeah,
the guy is super cool.
Since we're wandered into electric territory, Voxan, Voxan, Wattman. I love the name Wattman, like Watt, like Watts.
Yeah,
Wattman, Wattman. Hits 254 miles per hour to become the world's fastest electric motorcycle.
Holy shit.
So yeah, so
not a production bike though, obviously.
Oh no. But who'd they get to do it? Max Biaggi.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah. I love that. So you get the right guy to do the job.
But that brings up a good question, though. I mean, like, what would a Zero do if you was ungoverned? You know what I mean? Like,
again,
what's the top end?
Yeah,
I don't think that's their market, though. They don't care about that.
I know, but I mean, when you're doing trials, when you're whatever, what will this actually do if we didn't control it?
I think there would have to be significant modifications to the motor for top speed.
Plus, you need a 2-speed gearbox or something.
Because those Zero, they're built for a specific top speed in mind.
Yes, they are.
Any electric motor is.
Wait, not necessarily. Electric motors, they work in a way that is 100% all go, no quit.
Right.
Yeah. So if I'm running a 1745 RPM motor, I can easily put that into any other electric. I don't need a modified motor. All that motor exists. I can just take it and put it in there.
That's true.
Well, what he said says a lot. It was a 17,4500 RPM motor.
Right.
So that works out to be 120 some miles an hour.
Right.
But for that same motor, which is directly linked to your back wheel,
the thing
for it to go 253, that motor would have to go to what, 10,000 yen.
And the thing with
and some electric motors will come apart at 10,000.
With brushless DC motors, their RPM is directly correlated to voltage.
Well, you see, that's the thing. You're thinking brushless. You don't need to be brushless.
Well, it is brushless. That's what zero motorcycles use.
I'm just saying we don't need to modify a motor. We just need to put a different motor in it, right?
Yeah.
Well,
so
is it poles?
Isn't that essentially modifying the motor?
No.
Yes.
Yeah. So you'd have to add more poles.
What we're doing is we're just taking
less poles to
1200 cc Harley Davidson and putting a 115 cubic inch motor in it. It's a totally different thing.
I haven't modified the motor. I've just swapped it.
One takes hours or even days to do, and one takes minutes.
You're right. You're right about that. I mean, I'd rather just swap a motor than have to try to build horsepower out of it.
I could take the motor out of this thing, and I could increase its performance in like 14 seconds.
But don't you think though? But for like a top speed bike, you'd have to change a lot more than the motor. You'd have to change the wiring and everything to handle the voltage. Like, because like you can have a billion piles of battery power, and you can slowly drain it to here.
For an electric motorcycle, you have 3 wires going to the motor.
Yep.
Right.
And they can be this thick.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. But
are we running single phase out of zero, or are we running three phase? Okay, so if we're running 3-phase, we don't need to change the wires at all.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. We don't have to do anything because it's going to run exactly what it's running. So we're going to run
that's what I'm saying. But
an 8-gauge wire no matter what.
But if you get to a bigger motor, like you're saying, to transfer the motors, don't you have to necessarily take into how much energy is traveling through the system to get to that motor?
It's all going to be 8-gauge because you're looking at energy transfer.
Going to the ESC, not the motor.
Right. So if we take the energy transfer unit and we just leave that exactly the same, your battery's going to drain a lot faster. But all we're going to do is take that 1745 out and we're going to put a 28 in.
Right.
So if we put a 2800 RPM motor in a 1745 slot and they fit exactly, like it's not a. No, it's just a different gear ratio inside the motor.
But to your point, so basically the front end has to handle the voltage. The back not going to change.
It's going to be all suspension. That's all you got to do.
The thing is too, you still have a belt driving the motor, so you could actually change gearing too.
Yeah,
you could leave the original motor in there and just gear it really high. You might have to put. It might be a little tough for it to launch, but it'll get moving.
Right. Yeah. None of those high speed bikes.
To a point where you're going to not be able to draw that. I mean, you have X amount of horsepower produced, and you're going to hit the wall at. 200 is 4 times as much energy as 100, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, because you're talking about wind resistance, and it gets exponentially harder the faster you go.
Right. So you're going to hit a wall at some point. Even like I'm sure my zero does 82 miles an hour.
But then you're leading us. But now you're leading us into when you talk about high speed runs. Aerodynamics,
right? And all that, and there's also diminishing return as far as power goes.
And this is, I'm glad you guys are bringing that up because we'll circle it back. The record was set at 218 miles an hour back in year of our Lord 2014.
I think I could top that.
So
let's do it.
A company called Lightning built this motorcycle that did 218 miles an hour on the Bonneville Salt Flats and established the high water mark for top speed attainable by an electric motorcycle that was, a production type vehicle. A vehicle, it wasn't a streamliner, it wasn't 26 feet long. It was a traditional motorcycle, and with Salt Flats records and World Speed records, there's like all these different things for fairing, no fairing, semi-streamliner, streamliner, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Why are the Salt Flats always the place to go?
It's not.
Because I think it's kind of difficult to reach a high speed.
It's not, but it's one of those things that that's a traditional place where the California Hot Rod Time Trial Speed Association, I'm sorry, I can't channel it right now. I've been drinking.
Like highs out west where you could go for 100 miles on a straightaway.
There's all kinds of places where you can do this.
Drove through Utah. You can go Like, I drove through Utah. The entire breadth, it was 418 miles. Okay, 418 miles of straight
as fuck,
flat. No police, no nothing.
You saw 4 cars.
Just go, right? And I'm doing that in a truck that's governed at 70 miles an hour. Okay. And the only vehicle that I saw on the road was a bagger BMW, a sport touring BMW that decided to want to hang out in my blind spot for about 100 miles. I was like, dude, you got the bike to go 197 miles an hour. Go. Just get there.
Meanwhile, he's drafting off of your U-Haul van.
Right. He's getting like 70 miles to the gallon.
So I'm just trying to $12.
So this particular thing, so Cinch record has stood sort of, for 218 was around in 2014, 218. But to give you an idea of motivation, like why hasn't Zero done this? Well, Lightning spent all their budget getting that number 218, and consequently, how many Lightning electric motorcycles do you see in the Cleveland area? And the answer is zero, like none. So that's kind of like, it shows you their motivation was getting that number, but it didn't really lead to really good production numbers, and it didn't lead to a market viable product that we would want to buy, right? And we've seen some of the Lightning vehicles that you can buy, and they're not so great. Don't refer to me on that. Use the YouTube and see reviews and pictures and stuff of what that company's going to sell you.
See what happens.
Now, this particular motorcycle, it doesn't appear to me that Zero's interested in getting the top speed record. They're more interested in selling a shit ton of motorcycles that work great for making people happy.
Money than have the top speed record.
Exactly. Right. Again, you don't need to have the big.
They're giving the people what they really want.
Yeah. Right. So now here we go. Voxan goes out there, and so to answer the question about where they did it, they did this at the Salar de Uyuni Salt Flat. Because again, Salt Flat's just big area. You can go as fast as you want to go, but
and it's flat.
Bonneville sucks because Bonneville's weather and salt conditions are changing all the time, and less of Bonneville has been available for racing on. I've gone there in years where the salt was completely unusable and it was like snow, and I've gone there in years where it was just glass and it was magical for miles.
I've heard it's actually pretty slippery, isn't it?
It's weird. I've driven on it and I've ridden on it. Yeah. It's a very strange surface to be on. It does take a while to get used to because you have to stay very loose, which is contrary to what you want to do when you're going 200 miles an hour. But it does feel like you're kind of driving on snow. That's the best way I can describe it. So there's a lot of trust involved, and things have to be just perfect, right?
I feel like somewhere between snow and sand. I mean, even on a beach, it's granular, so it's going to be like kind of like.
And at 12 miles an hour, it's scary as fuck. And at 60 miles an hour, it's not so scary because you're going through it pretty quickly.
It's like gravel.
Yeah, right. You got to swim through it. You got to find the perfect speed. So, but what I did want to bring up about this Wattman electric motorcycle is you brought up the point about how wind resistance is exponential. And so in order for this Wattman motorcycle to go 254 miles per hour, it needed 362 horsepower. Yeah. That's a lot of power. And while they were there, they were smart. They didn't break one record. They actually broke, I think, 9 or 10 records because they just kept changing the configuration of the motorcycle. So they'd have a big fairing or a little fairing or streamliner body or no streamliner body.
Weight of battery? Was that the one record they broke? Weight of battery?
Yeah. If you look it up, it's magic how many 10, they broke 10 world's records with this one motorcycle. It's trick. It's got center hub steering for the front end. It's really stretched out, but it's still very much a normal motorcycle. It's not like one of those things you'd look at it and be like,
But they only have to do 3 miles on a recharge?
Yeah, the standards are pretty low for that. Yeah.
But you know what's interesting? So when you think about drag racing or other things with a combustion motor, right? Mm-hmm. Like the rumor or the thing people used to say, once you get to 10-second mark, right?
Yeah.
To go 10 seconds to 9 seconds is about $20,000. Yep. To go from 9 to 8 is another 20, and this goes whatever. So with the electric, it's not going to be that because you're not adding nitrous, you're not adding 15 turbochargers and all this other bullshit.
Yeah.
You're maybe spending another $500 or $600 on a different motor and utilizing. So it's adding a whole new element to speed. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You're not that equation doesn't apply to electric motorcycles anymore.
Well, I think too, how fast will the battery actually release its energy? You know, like if I take positive terminal and touch it to negative terminal, how long does it take?
I can weld for exactly how long.
Right. What's the current in a circuit?
Ask the guy on the 50-mile-an-hour electric scooter
with the disco lighting.
It's 270 kilowatts that would take to drive that. That's without without loss.
And I did check.
So like 300 kilowatts roughly to drive that.
Yeah. And Biaggi did that run on a just slightly over 2-mile runway. So that actually, that's a little more impressive to me because 2 miles to get up to 230 miles an hour or so, and then get slowed down again in a 2-mile runway. Well done.
Yeah,
well
it's not the 15
done.
miles of this Donnieville salt flats.
That's really cool.
You said 300 kilowatts?
That is kilowatts.
So you have to wonder,
300 microwaves.
Will a normal battery discharge that? You know, just because you can put all that charge in the battery,
right?
Will it come back out just as quick?
Well, I think it would be a bottleneck of how you have it set up. I think it's going to come down to what you have. You know, how big are the ports and like how is the battery connected to it?
Lithium polymer batteries are pretty good at releasing energy.
But it also depends on
you can get a lightning bolt right out.
I mean,
I can tell you from running a 48 volt 12S system on one of my big drones that battery or wire size matters. And you can definitely
So even in like 12th scale RC cars, it's like the size of the cable from the battery to the ESC, from the ESC to the motor
will
matters.
change everything.
Oh
And we're talking millimeters. You're right.
It's rated at 50 amp.
Too much.
So you're running 8-gauge wire.
Right.
8-gauge wire is going to transfer as much energy as you can put through it outside of 600
volts. Yeah.
But
you'd be better off to use silver wire
600
too.
volts and
right? I mean, you reduce
think it's like 500 amps.
The down and dirty on the zeros, at least, which I do know about, those like our SRS and our SRFs, those are 80 kilowatts.
Right.
So for people who like to do the math on horsepower, torque, etc., 80 kilowatts.
80 microwaves.
That's a lot.
As it develops, like, you know, like, so like you have drag racers and like their fuel is like, I run like 99.5% ethanol and this, whatever.
Yeah.
So it's going to get to the point of like electric guys are going to be like, I'm running 95.7% silver wire with 4% gold on
micro tuning.
Yeah.
Right.
1,000 strand.
Thousand strand. It's just one big wire.
Yeah, right.
So for higher voltage
battery cables,
goes on the outside
which
of the
are
wire.
zero gauge.
That's right.
The amperage goes through the wire.
Okay.
Like lower voltage,
So when you take
the
that
amperage
out,
goes through the wire.
one conversation.
The lower voltage goes through the wire.
Yeah, there's like a skin effect is what it's called.
All right, so what were you guys talking about?
We're talking about 8-gauge wire and how
Which is why typically people use multi-stranded wires.
Okay, so what are you guys talking about?
It's the worst.
multi-strand wires. They use multi-strand wires because that's more surface area.
Yeah.
Right.
And the electrons run on the outside. They don't run through the core of the wire.
Skin effect. Yep.
So you get
Yeah, but it's the worst to work with.
and they're more malleable. You can bend them back and forth and stuff like that, and they don't.
Right. We were talking about the zero gauge wire that you're going to get on a truck battery and stuff like that, but you're not running the same kind of amperage on a 24 volt system that you're going to run off of an 800 kilowatt system.
Right.
So when we're running, 200 amps, which is what your trucks are going to start off of, okay, versus a zero, which is going to start off at like 1 amp or 2 amps. So we don't need that same gauge of wire to create
there's no
the contact.
big hit.
But that's just a start.
Right.
After that, you got a free flow of energy. After the free flow of energy starts, you don't need that zero gauge anymore. You could break down to an 8-gauge wire or something like that that's going to transfer the
Once you're
energy
past the
more
inrush.
readily and easily, and it's going to create a lower contact radius so you're going to get lower diminishing returns on your power. So when you're talking about
Say that part again. You could actually be doing a disservice by adding too heavy a gauge wire.
yes,
Absolutely.
if your wire is too heavy when you're trying to transfer immediate energy, you're going to create a system that is going to have a higher rate of diminishing return.
Yeah. That's an interesting point too, because and I'm not an expert in power electronics. I'm an electrical engineer, but not with power electronics. But basically, there, typically you would think that skin effect would be a huge issue. You'd want multi-strand wire to transfer huge currents, but at the same time, Teslas or any electric vehicles in the speed controller, they have bus bars, which are giant bars of copper. It's not multi-stranded. It's just a chunk of copper.
Yeah, and that's the same thing you're going to have in your house, and it's going to transfer the energy to your 16 gauge, your 10 gauge, and your wires that are going to go throughout your whole house. And Tesla does that really, really well, but the power that actually runs their motors on their cars is all going to be 8-gauge wire, because you're running 3-phase, and you only run 3-phase on your 8-gauge. And the reason being is you don't want that diminishing return, because you're going to drop your power as you're transferring energy from your primary source. It's a huge compliment.
All right, so Dylan,
sorry, I nerded out.
Okay,
that was awesome.
That'll teach our podcast.
I learned something.
Right.
Holy shit.
Dylan Covart. Oh shit! I said his whole name. Dylan.
Oh shit.
Dylan just became a $10 Patreon subscriber.
What was his address? Do you have
exactly. His wife can be found at 123 Mockingbird Lane. So anyway, but yeah, he just literally like minutes ago just became a $10 Patreon supporter, which means he'll get access to the secret phone number where he can text us dirty pictures of his girlfriends or make demands of us, which we may or may not fulfill.
We established a week ago that bribe system of nudity and things works.
Oh, the bribe system of texting the hotline a naked picture of a girlfriend or former girlfriend or ex-wife or whatever.
Or a dong that we can...
You've got my full attention.
It works. Yeah,
I sent you my giblets and that got me going.
So that's Dylan. Thank you, Dylan, for being on there. So we have Dave on, speaking of Patreon messages that we do read. I know 300 is supposed to be big and special, but I'm just curious if you guys got the update when that episode is going to drop. Can't wait and listen. Don't wait and listen. Watch it on YouTube. It's already there. It'll be up on...
We apologize in advance.
It'll be up on Buzzsprout tomorrow, but we apologize in advance.
Read the fine print on the
right.
podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Right. That's for real.
We laid it out.
We'd also like to thank Courtney Green. Courtney Green, thank you, Courtney. She has just updated her Patreon from a $10 subscription to a $1 subscription.
Oh, excellent.
There you go. So
we still love everybody.
We still love you.
I don't
Absolutely
blame you.
Still love you.
Honestly.
I don't blame you.
After the 300 episode,
she didn't text us any. Yeah. Okay. All right. So there you go.
It might have been what she could afford. Something.
That's exactly.
You're still getting your money's worth.
She felt like we were worth $12 a year.
Wow.
That's right. Yep. And you know what? I feel like we're worth $12 a year too. So send those $1 donations.
I'm not sure.
So this is a big deal. I'm about to let you guys in on a cool thing. Maybe it doesn't affect you directly, but it might affect one of your family members. The national parks, of which you guys know I'm a fucking fan.
We are.
The national parks has now said that from this upcoming Veterans Day, November 11th, by the way, coming around the corner here real soon, from now in perpetuity, veterans will now have free access to all national parks.
Wow.
So thank you.
Well done.
National parks veterans will now have to not pay the $35 or $25 that it takes to get into the national parks.
I know.
That is fucking cool.
I know a lot of you have sacrificed your body parts and other things, and the government doesn't help you out, but at least you have access to the national parks now.
And we can show the national parks our skills that we developed in military by polishing floors.
I was the best civil engineer that the Marine Corps produced.
That's exactly right. There is nobody that can clean a shitter like most veterans. We usually leave them cleaner than we found them. Yeah, that's right. When it comes to national parks, your veterans will always leave them nicer than we showed up in. Right. We take that shit seriously. So that's fucking really cool. I just want to bring that to your attention because traveling on a motorcycle, national parks are awesome. The camping is great. It's a lot to see. And because motorcycles have that two-wheeled advantage, we can zip around and get the good parking spaces.
And as the hippie of the podcast, I would definitely say thank you for your service for all the veterans. Even me, I appreciate all the veterans that have ever served. Thank you very much.
And it is, I mean, Wayne and I have both served and we've taken different paths. Like, so Wayne was a Marine, and I thought about things before I signed up. And
hey, my dad was
thinking wasn't my strong suit.
But if I'm in a fight, I definitely want a Marine.
Yeah, right. That's exactly it. You definitely don't want an Army tanker, because an Army tanker is personally just looking out for his own comfort all the time.
He goes, "Where's my armor? Where's my armor?"
But at least
you spread some Marines out there for me.
At least neither of you are Navy guys who are just concerned about their scarf. So whatever.
And again, none of us have ever had our tray bust for us in the chow hall like they do in the Air Force.
Right.
Because that is truly.
I was at the Air Force base in man, what was that shithole country that I was in? Texas. It was my layover in Texas. Yeah,
Tennessee.
No, it was my layover on my way to Afghanistan on my last deployment.
Yeah,
and I went in and I was like, "Holy crap, that's steak!" And not like pretend steak. That's like actual steak.
Yeah,
So I ate my steak, and as I was finishing, an airman come walking over, picked up my tray, took it away from me, and I went, "Holy shit, I did the wrong thing. I should."
Seriously, I thought I was going to tip. I thought I was going to tip an airman. And I was like, what MOS is that? Like, you can literally, in the Air Force, apparently, you can be a server. Like, I had no idea that was an MOS. And I did the same thing. I never experienced an Air Force chow hall, which, honestly, let's just call them what they are. It's a restaurant.
And it's the best. Like, it's so good.
It's so good. It's so good. And I came back, and I mean, when you get back on a deployment, what you're wearing, because we used to have to travel in Class A's, right? Class A's is like the business suit. So we used to have to travel in Class A's, and they eventually relaxed that to Class B's. But after deployment in the Persian Gulf, it became you could travel in BDUs or ACUs or whatever the uniform of the day was. You didn't have to travel in Class A's and B's anymore. So I put on the nicest uniform I had. Everything else I pretty well threw away so I could ETS, so I could get out of the military. But that meant I flew back to Rhein-Main Air Base. So I flew back to Rhein Air Base, where I did the same thing. I went to the chow hall, and I was like, as clean as I was Middle East clean. I was fucking as clean as you could be, which was still filthier than anything on that base. Like, the guys that were working like the POL, the lubrication points, were cleaner than I was. And I just got off an airplane. I just got off a C-141. I was happy. I was thrilled. I had baby wipes, and I was clean. And I got into
the horror bath.
I got into that chow hall, and when I got into that chow hall and saw the food and everything, and then, like you said, some airman, like some E5, bust me out, like came and picked up my tray, and I was like, I'm not done with that. Like,
when I went to what's that country next to Iraq? I can't remember the name of it. The one we've been in for 100 years.
We can't get out of?
Yeah, Kuwait.
Wait a minute.
So I go to Kuwait, and they literally would not let me in the chow hall. I had to go shower.
It's a green zone, dude.
I had to go shower, get clean to their standards to be able to go into the chow hall.
It's really
do they do the armpit check? They're like,
no, you can look at me and know I was filthy.
It's a green zone. But it is the funniest thing. Like, so, I mean, I have friends that were in the Air Force and everything else, and that's fine, and they're all wonderful people. They're a lot smarter than I am, clearly. One of them came out to be a wastewater engineer that used to work for you. So when I do have young people that are asking me, like, I'm going to join the military, and I'm always like, what branch? And if they don't say Air Force or Coast Guard, they're going to get a stern talking to.
I've talked no less than 50 people out of joining the Marine Corps.
Yes. That's exactly it. Yeah. The height of your luxury in the green side of the military is never going to be as good as the luxury in the blue side of the military. So the blue side of the military is so much better at personal comfort and safety than the green side of the military. Yeah, and it's for real.
Blue side versus green is blue side is Army or
Air Force and Navy.
Air Force and Navy. Yeah. I consider Army kind of.
Shut up.
But
come on, seriously.
I
trained Marines for a year.
Yeah.
So
they're gross.
Who's your medic? What service was he?
He was in the Navy.
Yeah. Okay.
You don't make Marines into medics.
Yeah. He was the only sailor that I ever met that could do 60 pull-ups with full battle rattle. He had like 70 pounds of gear on and his full rack and everything. And he would just do 60 pull-ups like it was nothing. And I looked at him one time and I go, you only got to do 20 of those. And he goes, yeah, but you guys are all bitches.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm looking at that going, I can't even do one of those. So you guys are all better than me.
I was an M1 tanker, which means, I had the most modern piece of equipment on the battlefield, 120 millimeter smoothbore cannon, 1,500 horsepower, General Dynamics, turbine engine. It's amazing, right? It's great.
It went 23 miles an hour.
37 miles an hour. 37 miles per hour. And then, but the funny thing was we had all these Marines come in. So when I rotated back to Fort Knox, Kentucky to be a training NCO, we had to train all these Marines. But the funny thing was, and this was many years ago, we didn't train the Marines on M1s. We trained them on M60s, which are Vietnam War leftovers. They're pretty basic. They're diesels. They have a lever inside. If you pull the lever, you literally drop through the bottom of the tank.
So what everybody's hearing is that everybody is pretty glad that you weren't the guy that created the bulldozer,
Killdozer?
Killdozer, yeah, because you would actually know how to drive the goddamn thing.
When those of us who were in the field of armor, when we see the documentary Killdozer, which is a tribute to a guy that said, I've had
Tread
enough.
Now that's a new documentary.
Tread, that's what it is. Tread. I'm sorry, it's Tread. When we see that documentary, we're cheering the whole time.
Yeah.
But also immediately seeing the shortcomings.
Yeah.
And we're like, ooh, that's going to end poorly.
And I give the guy credit for fucking putting an air blast system by his cameras so he could blow the debris off. So he could keep the cameras clean. Yeah.
Really cool. And then, but again, if you watch Tread, which you should all watch Tread.
Yes, definitely.
If you watch Tread and you're like, that guy down the street that my dog keeps shitting in his yard?
Yeah.
If he ever buys anything bigger than a lawn tractor, go send him a fucking cake.
Yeah.
Send him a pizza. Because if the guy down the street that you think might not like you buys anything bigger than a John Deere.
Yeah.
I love how everybody in that city saw him buy a giant, ridiculous military-grade bulldozer
and was like,
Yeah. And then they all fucking paid for it. So.
And congrats to that sporting goods store that had a basement that actually
he didn't know about.
Yeah, because he would have done a lot more.
I'm still convinced that was a sex dungeon. I'm still convinced that was cosmic pizza shit.
That was the beginning of QAnon.
Yeah, that was QAnon. There's no basement in there. Where'd all these kids come from?
No, QAnon said there was a basement there, but he didn't read it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Exactly. If you'd only read
QAnon, he would have known.
Let him know that shit right away. Q's not holding anything back. He's here to save us all. Oh, my fucking God. That's terrible. Well, that's about what I got. Anybody else got anything fun?
So, we haven't played What Bike Have I Bought?
Oh, no.
This week.
What? You bought a house. Did you buy a bike, too?
Yes. So,
oh, my God.
You have impulse issues.
Yeah, I do. So, I was...
Wait, so hold on. How many bikes do you have currently before this new edition?
25.
All right, that's reasonable.
Are you sure? Because I think I've seen that in your one garage alone.
No, I don't know. But there might be more. I don't know.
I lost track.
Yeah.
25.
Define bike.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Sorry. Define garage.
So I picked up a bad habit of having a cigar every now and then. Okay. And my son moved into a new house, and I was sitting on the back porch of his house having a cigar.
All right.
And the guy next door was having a cigarette on his back porch, and I started talking to him, and I said, I don't know, we started talking about bikes, and he's like, well, we have one in the garage we want to get rid of. Okay, so
those are the best words I've ever heard in my life.
Okay,
in fact, I just got a little hard right now.
I know. You're like, you're my new best friend.
I paid $200 for it.
Oh my God!
And you can guess what it is.
It doesn't matter. I'd pay $200 for anything.
So
with
you paid
two wheels.
$200 for it.
Yeah, plus a little electrical work.
And
I
it
told
was
the guy
in your neighbor's garage,
right?
Okay, so what neighborhood? I'd like to know. Like,
which one of your garages?
It's right behind Harry Buffalo. We're right in that Harry Buffalo.
All right,
so Lakewood.
Just Lakewood, $200, and it had a little bit of an electrical problem.
It's probably
No, the guy's garage. I said I'd just help him out with his garage.
Oh.
He was telling me about his garage with the electrical problem. I said, I'll check it out for you. I'll rewire it if it needs to be.
Is it larger? Is it more or less 125 cc's?
Larger.
Ooh. Is it American made?
No.
Was his name Matthew?
I don't think so.
Well, okay, I'm going to narrow it down. So I'm going to say.
But knowing me, you know.
Yes or no answer.
It's got to be a Honda.
It was a Honda. It was a Honda.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I was going to say CB650.
Scooter or motorcycle?
Motorcycle.
Okay. All right. Very good.
What era?
No.
Yes or no?
Yes or no answers only.
How many cylinders?
Yes or no answers only. Oh. Did you already answer? 4?
Was it a 4-cylinder?
Yes.
70s or 80s? Or I'm sorry,
Yes.
80s?
No.
70s.
Yes.
Oh fuck.
Oh,
CB550.
Yes.
Okay, right on.
Yeah.
Good job. A CB550 for 2 Hondo.
Yeah.
With a title?
Nice. Yep.
Rusted tank?
I swear I know who this belonged to.
It's in good shape.
Those are all Ben's trailings. Like when Ben was doing that.
Yeah. This was it was probably one of the Red Rider
Yeah,
runoffs.
Matthew. Right.
Yeah.
Game S. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's green and black. It's a candy.
Is it Candy Jade?
Candy Jade.
Oh,
which is my favorite color.
Oh,
it's my favorite color.
That's pretty.
What kind of shape? What shape?
It's in. I mean, it's buried in the back of his garage, but as far as I can see, it's in pretty good shape.
Good job. How many muffler holes does it have?
It looks like the mufflers are intact.
Really?
What?
Holy shit.
Wow.
Oh my
The original
God.
4-4?
Yes.
There's like 72 hipsters with hacksaws that are so mad at you right now that it's unbelievable.
No, there's no way. I mean, I'm not going to do that.
You got
to
an
that guy.
uncircumcised CB550. Well done.
Yeah,
Well done.
In Lakewood, no
In
less.
Lakewood, no less. Because everyone likes it cut in Lakewood.
Right.
From 2011
there ain't no big traffic running around Lakewood.
Yeah, no.
That shit's
I railed
cut trim.
against
There's no
people
bush anywhere.
bastardizing anything.
Lakewood is just
I
like
hate it comes up one of those old CDs.
I used to like get into fist fights with people at the Lion on the Rain when that was a thing.
Oh yeah.
I'd be like, why would you do that to that bike? You know they're not making any more of them.
Right.
And they'd go, well, it looks really cool. And I go, no, it looks like dog shit.
And-
Now it won't run right. You
Well,
dick.
here's the thing.
and you just lost interest in it, so I'm going to give you $5.
Yeah.
That's it.
So I don't know really anything about.
I'm just going to make
550s.
big money welding the back ends back onto Hondas. That's all I'm going to do.
Smooth mode.
Well,
Hey, I'm
thing-
good at the purge and take.
The thing that people need to talk, the thing that's ignored by people, and the difference between like a halfway decent cafe racer and like all the abortions, is that the tail should never be past the fucking axle of the goddamn back wheel. If you keep the fucking ship behind the axle of the back wheel, you have at least a fighting chance to make a cool fucking cafe racer.
Yeah, and if you want a cool cafe racer, get a Yamaha XS750, late 70s, and have one, and it's beautiful.
It's already there.
And it runs
It just
until you
showed
run
up.
the oil out of it and it explodes.
Right. No, you're right.
I had one of those once. It was an awesome bike.
It was.
Biggest mistake I made was getting rid of it.
until I bought it.
I wonder who you sold it to.
And ran the oil out of it until it exploded.
It feels the same way too.
Phil, this bike is so fast. This bike goes like 140 miles an hour. I ran it on the freeway yesterday for like 4 or 5 hours. Just never went below 100 miles per hour. And then, like 3 days later, it blew up. Because all the smoke escaped out of the tailpipe.
I own every second of that bike's demise, and I loved every minute of it. It was awesome.
This thing is so fast. This thing goes so fast. And it's effortless. It just runs.
It blew every Honda CB750 out of the water.
Yes, absolutely.
Killed him.
Absolutely.
And it was a cafe racer stock.
You just didn't know it was a
Period.
two-stroke.
Yeah, well, it became a two-stroke.
Because they all start as 4-strokes, but eventually they become two-strokes.
Yeah. I beat the shit out of that bike for like 3 years.
Yeah.
And I'm
quart
telling
oil.
you,
It was a two-stroke with a 1-quart oil reservoir.
oh man, I still have it. I've got a motor for it. I've got 2 motors for it. I've got all the parts. I bought a couple extra parts bikes. I love XS model Yamahas. I mean, Yamahas are bulletproof.
They're amazing
They started in the 70s making them just absolutely wonderful, and they just kept it up.
Well,
I agree with him. My Yamaha is right over there. Just
I
sitting
know.
there.
I want to run the oil out of it, make it explode.
has anybody seen the Yamaha drum kit
Steve,
piano?
wait a second.
Sorry,
But Steve, that was the bike that brought on your bike. Yamaha is a rich tradition of 3-cylinder motorcycle.
Right. You're right.
And so your FJ09 with a 3-cylinder inline door.
Right. You guys have
That's a
descended
reiteration of this XS 750.
You're right.
My motorcycle was the grandpappy.
Yep.
Well, except for the fact that Triumph were the first triple fetishists.
We should, but Triumphs, they leak the oil. Mine
burns.
You had to run it to death.
You have to push it past the rings.
I did. This is bad motorcycle etiquette. I know, but I never changed the oil on it. I ran it for 3 years as hard as that bike would run. Okay, I changed the stock tire, the dry rotted tires after 2 years.
After 2 years.
Okay,
Wait, you have to get John's face. You have to zoom in on this thing. Well,
I beat that motorcycle unmercifully, and to this day, I could go out and I could start it and run it off 2 cylinders.
Right. Yeah.
So we should probably have sex at some point. Is what you're saying?
They're amazing. They're the absolute best cafe racer motorcycle you could own. And any of you listening out there, it's stock that way. Don't hurt any other motorcycle trying to create it. Buy an XS 750. Make sure you change the oil on it. It will be awesome.
And don't buy it from Wayne.
don't buy the 2-cylinder from Wayne.
You can't buy it from me. You can't.
I spent a lot of time making that bike nice.
So what you're saying is Wayne's bike is actually an XS 750 with a parasitic 3rd cylinder.
You're right. Yes. And
just take the plug out of it.
It sounds amazing.
It's just a governor.
It's just
It sounds amazing.
It's an XS 500.
Yeah, it's an XS 500. Right. It just has a governor. That's all it is. It's just a speed governor. You don't want that running away from
Take
you.
that one plug out and you'll be fine.
You'll be great. But just use it. It's an air compressor.
It's probably going to end up in Phil's shop to get the motor swapped out on it.
No. We have a rule around here.
I know the rule and I break it all the time.
Honestly, we're laughing because John Cochran's Kawasaki that he bought on I don't know why he bought this, but Johnny Chrome still, even though Johnny Chrome has been a sworn Floridian for so long now, but this weird a Kawasaki, he was real fetishist. He was really kooky about these Kawasaki KZ 650Bs, the twins.
Yeah,
right.
Gross.
Again, that's another motorcycle that was a Japanese company. That was a Japanese company fixing an English problem.
Right.
So your motorcycle is a Japanese company fixing a British triple problem. An XS 650 and this Kawasaki KZ 650 are Japanese companies fixing.
These are both 750.
Yeah. You're right. It's a KZ 750B. Thank you. I don't know why I thought that.
It's all right.
The 650 is a 4-cylinder.
Yeah, so when you look at a KZ 750B, it looks like a KZ 650 4-cylinder. But when you look a little closer, you're like, no, that's
wait a second, that's a twin.
750.
Right, exactly. So John was fetishy, Chrome was fetishy about that. So there's one still sitting by my water tank over here. It's literally, have you ever seen metal grow roots?
Yes, the Titanic.
Fuck that, man.
Yeah, I mean, Yamaha hasn't run
at
in
some
6
point.
years.
Enough of us are going to have enough drinks.
James's garage, has it always been here?
It's in my truck.
Oh, you took it to California.
You brought that back from California?
Yeah, I took it to North Carolina, took it to California, brought it back to Cleveland.
So it's actually got a lot of miles on it.
It had a lot of miles on it before it blew up. I rode it everywhere. I rode it
Why didn't you leave that in California? There are hipsters there.
Because that's my bike. It's my first motorcycle.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Oh, it was your first motorcycle?
It's my first motorcycle.
That's
It's
sentimental
never gone
value to get
anywhere.
you into trouble.
Yeah. So I have that bike and all the parts I would take to make it better. I'm a relatively good mechanic. I mean, I can fix literally anything under the sun.
Right.
But every time I look at it, I go, nah, I'm not going to fuck it. It's like I have more interest in...
Just needs to marinate a little bit more.
Yeah, I have more interest in rebuilding my Lambrettas and stuff like that than I have in rebuilding that, because that bike was the epitome of my life when it came to fun.
Right.
And I just kind of remember it as that fun.
I will give my review on that is I agree with you 100%. But when I got that bike going and running,
when I rode that bike, when you brought it over to the shop right after you had it dialed in, you let me take it for a spin. I had never ridden the Yamaha 750 triple before. I'd ridden everything else, but I just never had the occasion to ride that. And at the time, I was riding a Triumph Thunderbird Sport, which is a 900, and I was riding it extremely aggressively for a classic-looking motorcycle. And then I jumped on yours, and I was like, holy shit, this 30-year-old motorcycle is better than my 10-year-old motorcycle, except for the brakes.
Well, this is coming from a guy wearing a drug rug, so we can't trust him at this point.
What year was it?
I did like that. I did like that XS 750. Yeah, I did like that.
It was interesting because, like sometimes you felt like you were riding a twin.
Yep.
Then you got on it and you felt like you were riding a 4-cylinder, but it had that off-camber 3-cylinder
Triples
sound,
are weird.
Hey, and the best part about it is like when you talk about the gyroscope with the shaft drive and all that, like you could be leaning really hard into something.
Yeah.
And man, as soon as you decide you're going to upright your body, it picks right back up. It was just perfect.
That bike wouldn't be
balance.
as bad with that because it's not a 3-cylinder inline.
Exactly.
It didn't have the shaft jack like this.
No,
because it was a
Transverse.
it's a traverse 3-cylinder, even though it was shaft drive. So that bike had a little bit of shaft jack.
Bit of shaft
When you go on the it would always want to stand up and then let up. It was a lot of up and down if you were on and off the throttle.
Wait, which way does the cylinders go then on that?
They go transverse.
I mean, across the front.
The same as any other like four.
The same as all motorcycles.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Well, the BMWs are the other way.
Right. Other than a BMW or a Moto Guzzi.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was the epitome of fun in my life. And
you got dual front disc brakes and the rear disc brake and a lot of other little things that a CB750 never had.
No. Yeah, much better bike. I mean, no doubt about it.
yeah, when I changed the tires on, it was a totally different motorcycle.
I'm
know,
pretty
your brother
the
been tendency.
tires were still on it.
You know what?
His brother rode the
No, if you owned it, they
CB400.
were.
Yeah.
I mean, I took the tires off of
I
it,
never changed
and
it.
no kidding, bent them against the wall, and they cracked.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Like,
Not enough people talk about how much. A lot of people they hear about how awesome a bike is and they get it.
Yeah.
And they're like, this thing sucks, but they didn't change the tire.
No.
Tires can make your whole life different.
That bike was super fun with shit tires, and when I changed the tires on it, it made it. It elevated the control. It elevated everything that you had on it, and it just became an entirely different motorcycle. And it was so beautiful to ride.
You had the drop bars on it. You kept those on, or did you change those
I kept the drop bars on it. They were the 1-inch rise that you had.
I thought I put a set of Clubmans on it.
there was some Clubmans. Yeah.
No, they were 1-inch rise, but they were turned down slightly.
It's what some people might call a super bike bar.
Maybe I just had straight through. I thought they had Clubmans.
Yeah.
But it was just so much fun.
Yeah.
And it's like, you remember Neil, right?
Oh, yeah.
With his 750 and he
836 kit.
sounded like a dragon roaring in your face.
Yeah.
I would blow him out of the water on the highway all the time.
Yeah.
And he put so much time and energy and work into that bike, and it's all I did was sat on it.
But seriously, like if you have a motorcycle and you spend a bunch of money on a motorcycle and you thought it was going to be better than it was, right?
Yeah.
Before you sell it, before you take a loss on it, before you move on to another bike, replace the tires with something good and try it then. Because
I might try that sometime.
Keep it.
I mean, like, seriously, I've had scooters. I've had my BV500. When I got it from you, you're like, the front tire's bad. I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
And I rode it for a while. It was fucking horrible.
Yeah.
And then I put a new tire on it. I'm like, oh, this is pretty good.
Really, actually,
and even
pretty
my
good.
Super 10 Ray, when I first got it, it had whatever tires on it, and they were worn out in a certain way.
Yeah.
And the thing kind of sucked. And then I put new tires on. I was like, holy fuck, this bike's all right.
And
like,
there's a lot to be said, and I know you guys are going to call it voodoo for fuck's sake, but really, there's something to be said for buying a new pair of tires and letting them learn the way you ride.
Right.
Because
Yeah,
if you buy a bike used and if the tire's got 3,000 miles on it or 4,000 miles on it,
that's that
it
dude's-
may be chicken stripped. It may be knife edged. It may be cupped out or whatever.
Right.
That's the way the previous owner did. Or maybe the guy never checked the air pressure and the tire's all fucking jammed up because the air pressure was bad. And if you start from get-go with a brand new tire and you maintain it your way like I do, I watch the air pressure really carefully. I run the air pressure a little bit lower than what the bike says. and I'm all front brake or whatever. Yeah, I break a tire in the way I want the tire to be. It feels really good to me.
Right.
It's fine.
Well, the thing, motorcycle tires are much different than car tires. Car tires stay on a flat the whole time and everything.
Never
Motorcycle tires, just naturally are going to get flat in the middle because, especially if you ride them on the highway a lot, they're going to lose that. They're only really great when they're brand new and they're a nice rounded profile and they go from left to right really smooth and easy. The more you ride them, the more flat they're going to get in the middle and the less they're going to want to.
Yeah,
and that's the thing about a used bike. If you get a used bike, get new tires on it before you even decide whether or not you like it. It's like, it's crazy.
Give it a chance with new tires.
And I did that with the Bandit, and I think a lot of it is psychological too. But I'm a lot more confident on the tires on the Bandit, the new tires on the Bandit now than the original ones that were on it before. Yeah.
I feel like my tires are a finite resource device that I paid money for.
Yep.
And so I do understand that if I do a lot of freeway, I'm gonna cost the middle of the tire. And now modern multiple tread compound tires, 3-4 tread compounds in one tire, it does compensate for that. But I will absolutely tell you that in my brain, I'm constantly doing math that says I've done a shit ton of straight today. I'm going to have to next 20 miles of curvies more aggressively to even things out. And I always feel like I'm just like, okay, well, it took me a lot of straight to get here. So now the curvy part is going to have to be more spectacular to make everything even out. Right. And I do look at tires sometimes as like my ultimate goal is to buy the back one and the front one at the same time.
Yeah.
And so if I can buy the back one and the front one on the same day, that means I've been doing it right. I've been using the front tire to turn me and stop me, and I've been using the back tire to go me, and then the world comes together.
But the reality of that is, though, is that most of the time you're going to wear out your rear before you wear out the front.
My tires are the opposite.
Really?
I am Mr. Front Tire Guy. I hate to look at any bike I ride.
Wow. Yeah.
I never touch the rear brake. I don't.
It's not the brake; it's the power. So if you have a powerful motorcycle, you burn the back wheel up.
Yeah, but I spend my tires like they're hooked to my wallet.
That's true.
Yeah, I was gonna say we got. Yeah, it's Phil.
Doing a burnout contest.
Yeah, on your bike.
I can't really get.
I usually do it on a bike that I don't know.
Hey,
John will tell you, I've got a whole lot of burnout contests.
I let John Cochran do a burnout on my bikes a couple times.
What's that?
I said I've let you do burnouts on my bikes a couple times.
Yeah, I usually do burnouts on bikes.
But El Cheapo over here won't do it on his own.
New owner.
Well, that's what that was the best part about.
I know I got wooden tires.
That was the best. So, in the 300 episode, I tried to throw something together in the beginning, and the best part is Phil burning up the tire, literally on fire with the back license plate on fire of the bike that he just gave away for raffle tickets
to a guy in Australia.
Yeah, in Australia.
He's like, so if you want the bike, it's cool, but it's also been on fire for 5 minutes.
I fucked myself because I ended up buying that bike back. And it's sitting in my showroom right now with those same tires on.
But the
hold on, what bike?
Wait, let's bring it out right now.
My interest.
The Guzzi Scrambler.
Oh, really?
But it had
bring it out and do a fired up burn.
But the best part is he did a giant fiery burnout with the paper temporary plate on the back, which then caught on fire and then burned.
That's very Phil thing.
The video though. That's really
I did have definitely.
I looked up and I was like, "Who's doing that fucking? That is a good fucking flaming burnout."
Yeah,
like,
and it was you.
All right, cool.
But the best part is that you missed the 4 minutes before that when my drunk ass didn't know that my phone was recording, and it recorded like some girl like ass with this dude grabbing his butt and all this stuff. And then all of a sudden I realized that the phone was recording, and then it came up and filmed you doing the burnout. So that was
drunk. It's so much fun. Look, we were joking that 10 years ago Tuesday, John and I celebrated Election Day. And we celebrated Election Day. We went to lunch we left the shop at lunch hour. We went to Cozumel.
He has PTSD from your comment.
We went to Cozumel for Mexican for lunch on voting day because I always reward people. I believe in voting. I don't care how you vote, just vote.
It should be a national holiday.
I feel that way. So treated these guys to lunch for voting day, and then lunch turned into 2 pitchers of margaritas, and then at the second pitcher of margaritas, now that was 4 of us. It was me, James, you, and Renee. We had 2 pitchers. And it degraded into the discussion of, in Lakewood, there are more bars than churches. And then it turned into, well, no shit. That's like a 10-to-1 ratio.
Right.
And so then it turned into, well, between where our shop is and where we're sitting right now, I'll bet you there's 9 bars. And we were walking distance.
Turns out there's about 15.
So when the gauntlet was thrown, John was like, well, we should go to every bar between here and the shop.
I remember this. I had to pick James up.
So it started because
I drove home.
so did I, further. And so what happened was we started from where we were at Cozumel and we headed west and we went to every single bar and had a drink in every single bar.
And a shot because we're like, we're going to every single bar. We're just going to have a bar. Oh, why don't you have a shot on the
Every
house?
bartender tried to kill us.
Oh, yeah.
Because we told them it's voting day and I've given my staff the day off to go drink.
America.
Right. And then we proceeded to get Cozumel'd all over the place. And
So they name these bars. Okay, so there's
all of them. You know where Cozumel is. It's
We
what used to be
lingered at
International House of
what was it?
Pancakes.
Putin Bay.
Putin Bay.
was like, there was like babes there.
Oh, they tried to carpet bomb us. Right. They didn't want us to leave. So James at one point did the best Irish goodbye ever. He's like, I gotta go take a leak. And he never came back. Which it turns out he called Renee, so at 7 o'clock our shop closed, like normal people.
Right.
Well, we had already had 5 hours of drinking, 4 hours of drinking at that point. James had called Renee and said, I can't do it anymore. I'm going to die. Come and pick me up. So Renee left her warm house, drove out, not that far, but drove to the bar where we were, bar number 7 or 8, and drove there. And
Which, mind you, in Ohio, it could be 14 degrees or 70.
It was beautiful.
Right.
It was like this. So then Renee came to pick James up, and James is like, we're cool. I got this. And so James was like, I hate you. I hate you so hard right now. I hate you. And so she fucked off and went home again, right? Because she'd already hated us from when we started the idea. Because she was like, you're idiots. I'm going to go back to the shop and earn a living. I'm going to go protect your business.
Somebody's got to lock the place
Somebody's
up.
got to lock the place up, essentially.
Which, to her credit, Renee today.
Yeah.
Today.
Right.
This is how many years she's worked for you?
Over almost 20. Yeah.
20.
Right.
I had my keys sitting on a scooter thing, and she was like, can you put those somewhere else? Because it might fall off and scratch the scooter. And I was like, of course, I would never. But that's her mentality. After 20 years, she's on point.
She's perfectly on point.
Yeah.
Again, and she knows where all the skeletons are buried. Can never fire her.
Right.
And she's our HR director. That's it. Yeah, she's the one who created Sexual Harassment Thursdays.
Yeah, right.
So, like, you don't let somebody like that quit.
No.
Minimum wage for her is whatever she says it is.
Yeah.
So John and I continued. So we sallied forth. James disappeared at this point. He was raptured up by Jesus. Don't know where James went. John and I, we did the whole thing.
I remember making it to around the corner, and that's where I had the conversation with a woman who just had a baby about breast.
Extraordinarily inappropriate conversation.
You just stopped at breast. You have to continue with that. Like, what?
No, he doesn't. Because that's all the conversation was.
Don't do it.
Wait, no, please. I need to know what conversation this was.
I had to get involved.
Was he trying to breastfeed?
The owner of the bar came over and said, Phil, your friend over there, because remember, the owner of the bar was our landlord. This is the bar that's hooked up to our store. So the owner of the bar is my landlord.
Right.
And knows me because I pay him thousands of dollars every month for the privilege of being in his fucked up building.
I remember eating somebody's used cheeseburger.
Yep, that happened too. You were remarkably lucid, considering we had 17 drinks and 2 pitchers of margaritas.
Oh, jeez.
So I convinced John that literally having a liquid dinner is probably not the best idea right now. Straight from the tap.
Yeah.
And we have this discussion and we wander out of there. Thanks to the cheers of the people that were there doing they were doing hermit crab races.
I don't remember.
Yeah, that's that plate. Yeah.
It's like an OSU tribute bar.
Yeah, right.
For people in their 50s, right? So we wander out of there and then we decide, because we're at the shop now, that we're going to do smoky burnouts in the parking lot on 250cc Chinese motorcycles.
Bring out the heist.
So we bring out the heist and the we had a bumper car back then. Like, we were stupid. And so we're in the parking lot, and it couldn't have been any later than like maybe 8:30 at night.
Just dark.
Yeah, it was dark.
It's perfect. Day drinking leads to
And
fun
so
shit.
we were out there just burning the tire on this bike. Like, I don't think it'll do a smoky burnout. I don't think it'll do a smoky burnout either. I'll bet you it does. I'll bet you we can wheelie that fucker. And so we're out there being idiots. And the cops show up. like, being cops, they like curious, right? So somebody probably called them. And so in our defense, we were keeping it in my parking lot. Right. So realistically, we're on private property.
Right.
Just extraordinarily visual.
Yeah. They can just fuck their head.
The cops really just gave up on us because he couldn't figure out whether we were drunk or stupid.
Right.
Both.
True and truer.
So I think at some point we became bored and realized that we weren't getting less drunk. And we were like, well, John, it's been an adventure, but I think we should go home now.
Yeah.
And we both went home, and I made it home. My wife, which I arrived home not that much later than I would normally arrive home,
right,
but 19 flavors more drunk.
Right.
And so my wife was just like, it's a Tuesday. My husband came home from work. But my husband has been taken over by demon spirits. And I just kept saying, we voted. We voted. I got a sticker.
I called my one
That's
friend.
That's like a license. That's a license.
I had to call my one friend to help him drive me home. I was like,
so you passed the one eye. You were like already past the one eye.
And I called Frank up. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so fucked up. And I'm driving through fucking Lakewood. He's like, yeah.
I totally agree. That was the worst, best voting day ever. Yeah. So that's why it should be a holiday. And on that's all I got, man. Ride fast and take chances. Episode 301 was so much better than 300.
Yeah, it was good.
Press the button.
All right,
press the button.
Ride fast, take chances.